Chapter 196. Generally speaking, no one would announce the good news before the diagnosis was confirmed, even if the person to announce the good news was the maiden's family. A married lady would inform her maiden's family as soon as she was pregnant in order to reassure them. If it was just an ordinary relationship by marriage, the maiden's family would naturally be happy that their child could have a better foothold in the husband's family. However, if the relationship was related by interest, the baby in the womb would also make this relationship more stable. Because of this, it was necessary to be safe. Therefore, although it was not necessary to wait until 3 months for the baby to be stable, at least the good news had to be confirmed before the good news was announced. Otherwise, because of some special circumstances, as a married lady who needed her maiden's family to help invite a doctor, she would secretly do it through someone she trusted. If the good news was announced early and the result was a mistake, it would be very unpleasant. Obviously, Luo Jingying's situation did not belong to any of the above. Li Hongming had always done things properly, so naturally, he would not make such a mistake. Then, it was certain that Luo Jingying was really pregnant. No doctor could confirm that a woman was pregnant in at most 1 month. Li Hongming dared to send people to the Luo family at this time. First, he knew that the Luo family also knew the truth. Second, he was really anxious and couldn't wait any longer. Luo Jingying had been in his harem for a month, but there was no news from Luo Peishan. Because she was a concubine, her maiden's family could not do anything openly. It was normal for them to secretly find ways to send gifts and inquire about the situation. Out of 10 families, it was estimated that 9 out of 10 families were like this. Under normal circumstances, as the wife, she would turn a blind eye to the concubines with background and would not interfere. However, the Luo family's attitude was as if there was no such person. Li Hongming did not want to ask his princess not to make things difficult for the Luo family, but to ask if anyone from the Luo family had come to the Luo family. Li Hongming had already faintly sensed the real situation from Luo Jingying's attitude at the beginning. However, the reality seemed to be worse than he expected. This was what Li Hongming did not want to see the most. This was no longer a matter of whether his concubine was liked by her maiden's family. To some extent, it was a more direct reflection of the Luo family, or more accurately, Luo Peishan's attitude towards him. If Luo Peishan thought highly of him, as long as he had the slightest intention of assisting him, even if he sent a kitten or a puppy to his residence, he would use this opportunity to get closer to him. However, if it was the opposite, even if Li Hongming schemed against his most beloved granddaughter, he would probably bear the pain and give her up. Because of this kind of anxiety, Li Hongming could not wait to find out that Luo Jingying was pregnant. If it were not for the sake of blocking the public's mouths and preventing them from completely angering the Luo family, he would have already taken action half a month ago when Luo Jingying's pregnancy began to show. His purpose was nothing more than to not give up. He wanted to confirm whether everything was really as he expected. If it was not, it would be for the best, but if it was, I don't know whether she is blessed or not. I only know now that the young lady from our family who was carried into Prince Rui's residence also came to the summer palace. Along the way, plus the few days after arriving, Prince Rui and our master met frequently. Even I have seen Prince Rui once, but I have never heard him mention anything. Madame Luo calmly told the truth, but Nanny Lu's heart was not calm. The Luo family actually did not even know this. Didn't concubine Ying say that she sent someone to inform them? Did she send someone who pretended to comply, or did she not send anyone? Prince Rui did mention this to me, but I forgot, so I did not mention it. Luo Peishan explained. Madame Luo responded indifferently, and then, there was no then. Nanny Lu saw that the Luo family was directly sending her off. They did not prepare to send someone to take a look, nor did they even ask a question, let alone take a look in person. Moreover, from their expressions, she could tell that they were not pretending. They really did not show the slightest bit of concern. Nanny Lu's first impression of Luo Jingying was not bad. However, not long after entering the mansion, Luo Jingying's nature was exposed. Moreover, she was still useful, so Li Hongming could not help but indulge her. Because of this, Luo Jingying was more arrogant than anyone else. Although she still reluctantly kept the rules in front of the princess, Nanny Lu could not tell how angry she was that the princess was above her. Sometimes, her eyes looked as if she wanted to strangle the princess and then take the throne. Nanny Lu naturally looked down on her. However, even if she did not know the details, she knew that Luo Jingying was from the minister's mansion and was of great use to the prince. Moreover, the princess did not say anything, so she naturally could not say anything. However, as time went by, she naturally found that something was wrong. Concubine Ying's status in her family was a little. Moreover, the prince's patience with concubine Ying was wearing thin day by day. At this time, they found out that concubine Ying was pregnant. At first, Nanny Lu was very happy because Li Hongming did not have any children. However, after calculating with her fingers, she knew that concubine Ying was pregnant before she entered the mansion. Although she believed that concubine Ying would not do anything to betray the prince, her pure happiness was still covered with a layer of shadow. However, for the sake of the prince, she was very willing to make a trip to the Luo family. However, the result she got was like a bucket of cold water to her head. How was this not good? It was just one more title than the person who was expelled from the family. Nanny Lu was a little stiff. She braced herself and said, "Lord Luo, Madam Luo, concubine Ying is young and this is her first child. It is inevitable that she will be a little scared. If you can let her relatives see her and talk to her, she may feel better. Moreover, concubine Ying really misses you. You see, I'm afraid that this matter has not happened in other families. Only our prince is lenient. Prince Rue is lenient, but we have to abide by the rules. A concubine's family is not even a proper relative." Madame Luo calmly interrupted her. Nanny Lu wanted to slap her own mouth. In her eyes, her prince was the best and the most honorable. As an official, she had to respect him. Whatever he said, she had to follow his will. Therefore, her words, which were originally asking for help, unconsciously became a favor. Madame Luo smoothly rebutted her back. It was really hard to swallow. "Madame Luo, you are being modest. You are talking about other families. How can your family be mentioned in the same breath as theirs? Can you say this in front of Elder Lu?" Madame Luo's tone was calm, but her words were not polite at all. Nanny Lu was speechless. Her goal was very simple. No matter what their relationship with concubine Ying was, as long as the Luo family went to see her, it would be enough to let outsiders know that the Luo family had entered the prince's place. Obviously, the Luo family really did not give any face and did not care about concubine Ying at all. Naturally, they would not care about what kind of life she would lead without the support of her maternal family. Jingwan came back with some people with noodles. She did not expect that there would be an outsider after her sister-in-law had left. Originally, she wanted to give the noodles to Li Hongyuan in person. However, there were some people who did not want to do it. In the end, she did not do such an unruly thing. Li Hongming naturally saw Jingwan's intention. He did not want her to cook, but he was very willing to pass on such a relatively intimate thing. Naturally, he would not be kind to the person who disturbed the situation. Therefore, he looked at Nanny Lu a little coldly. When he wanted to target someone, his momentum was really terrifying. Nanny Lu's legs trembled and she almost knelt on the ground. Jingwan looked at her from the side. She was not curious, but obviously it was not suitable to continue, so she squatted and prepared to leave. However, before she could open her mouth, "This must be your Fu's third miss, a truly beautiful person." She smiled at the right moment and looked at Li Hongyan. "Speaking of which, Prince is really blessed." Then, she clearly felt that the feeling of being targeted weakened a lot. She did not expect that she had gambled correctly. However, Jin Qinwang's care for the Luo family's third miss was simply shocking. Nanny is overpraising. Jingwan smiled faintly. Because the Luo family's third miss was famous outside, although she had never seen her, but she was very clear about her bearing and self-restraint. Originally, because of the Luo Jingying, she was very suspicious of this point. Now that she saw it, she knew where the problem was. That was a person who tried to paint a tiger but ended up looking like a dog. Because she held back for a while after collapsing, she gave people an even worse impression. Now that she was compared to the main character, it was simply the difference between the bright moon and the firefly. Her heart was filled with regret. Why was it not this girl who entered her own prince's inner courtyard? A souffle would have been appropriate. Just as Lu Mama was lost in thought, something suddenly flew over. She was startled and hurriedly dodged, but in the end, she was still not lucky enough to escape. Her shoulder was hit and water stains were all over her body. There was also that bone-deep pain. Faced with Li Hongyuan's overflowing hostility, it was as if he wanted to skin her alive. Finally, she could not support herself and knelt on the ground. The teacup just happened to break at her feet. When she knelt, the pain was not only on her shoulder. Prince Ben Wang's Wangfei, is it something that Li Hongming dares to covet? Prince, you misunderstood. This servant is just noisy. Lu Mama closed her mouth. Don't mention making a sound, she did not dare to breathe loudly. Li Hongyuan picked up his chopsticks and unhurriedly began to eat the noodles. A bowl of noodles, it looked and smelled good. Moreover, since it was something for the prince to eat, it was definitely not just noodles. There were also several side dishes, all of which were crisp and refreshing. The taste was indeed not bad. Li Hongyuan ate calmly. Jingwan also felt that it was inappropriate to leave at this time. His movements were quite fast. He basically finished the entire bowl of noodles and most of the side dishes as well. After he put down his chopsticks and rinsed his mouth, he looked at Jingwan. Your fourth younger sister is pregnant. Do you want to go and see her? This prince is just in time to find Li Hongming and ask him how he trains his servants. Fourth younger sister. Jingwan was slightly startled. Then she glanced at Lu Mama and chuckled. Everyone in the Luo family knows that this servant and my fourth younger sister are like fire and water. She is now very precious. If this servant goes to see her now, what if something bad happens to her because of anger? I think Prince Rue loves children. If Prince Rue blames me, this servant can't bear the responsibility. In the Luo family, only you 5 masters come out to avoid the summer heat. Needless to say, Lord Luo and your elder brother are here. Madame Luo is her grandmother, and she is now a concubine. Whether in status or seniority, if Madame Luo condescends to see her, I'm afraid her life will be shortened. Speaking of which, only your sister-in-law is barely suitable. My sister-in-law's health has just recovered. How can she go out? Jingwan flatly rejected. Duchess Ding made such a scene in front of the Luo family's residence that day. There were probably few people in and out of the summer palace who didn't know about it. If you marry me, your status will naturally be very inappropriate. Now you have to be a little wronged. Although she is a concubine and you don't like her, she is still a member of the Luo family and was born in the minister's mansion of the Ministry of Personnel. Even if she is a concubine, she is still more noble than others. There are people everywhere who flatter the powerful and trample on the weak. She represents the Luo family in Prince Rue's mansion. When others trample on her, they will probably feel the pleasure of trampling on the Luo family. Moreover, doesn't Wan Wan want to see her in person? Li Hongyuan gave a shallow smile. Although Jingwan was a little dizzy from Li Hongyuan's enigmatic smile, she didn't really faint. The meaning behind these words seemed to be helping Luo Jingying, but no matter how she listened, it didn't sound right. Prince Jin occasionally did things that he shouldn't have done. According to Jingwan's words, it was a violation of his persona. However, these things seemed to be indirectly related to her, and the result was very satisfying. And now, he seemed to be doing the same thing again, with a bit of wilting. Personally meet Luo Jingying and let her tell Prince Rue about Luo Jingying's status in the Luo family. As long as she broke Prince Rue's last bit of fantasy, Luo Jingying's days could be imagined. Thinking about it like this, she seemed a little excited. There was a saying, what was it again? Knowing that she's not good, I'm happy. Seeing with my own eyes that she's not good step by step, wouldn't I be even happier? Well, in fact, Jingwan wasn't that bored. It was meaningless to pay too much attention to people like Luo Jingying. Li Hongyuan saw the lack of interest on Jingwan's face. He knew that with Jingwan's temperament, she never cared about insignificant people. No matter how Luo Jingying bounced around, it didn't affect her. She always knew what she needed and wouldn't lose herself and deviate from the direction. This wasn't wrong, but Jingwan didn't know that sometimes, small people could also stir up big waves. Although this possibility was very low, the best way was to completely eliminate this possibility. People who hated you directly trampled to death. Even if for some reason directly killing them wasn't good, it was better to step on the other party until they didn't have the ability to resist. However, since Wan wasn't interested, it doesn't matter if you don't go. It's indeed not worth caring about. Go, why not go? As long as you're happy. Li Hongyuan seemed to say a little helplessly. This feeling of pampering and indulgence came again. Jingwan uncomfortably shifted her gaze away. It was fine if it was in private, but in front of so many people, couldn't he restrain himself a little? When they were in the valley, Luo Peishan had seen what kind of virtue Li Hongyuan was, and now he didn't take it seriously. After old Madame Luo was slightly surprised, she also returned to calm, as if she hadn't discovered anything. On the other hand, Lu Mama lowered her head and tried to hide the shock in her eyes. Li Hongyuan wants 7 days of favor. Many people only heard about it, but there weren't many opportunities to see it. However, Lu Mama was fortunate enough to see it. How should it be said? Jean Qin Wang's attitude towards those women was only a little better than usual. In her view, there really wasn't any sincerity mixed in. It was purely for fun. Those women were fascinated by him to death after a few days. It was really inconceivable. Now, she truly felt that he treated the Luo family's third young lady differently. If Jean Qin Wang was really sincere, then it was natural that her actions just now would make him unhappy. Since she had made a decision, Jingwan went back to change clothes. Although she could already predict Luo Jingying's future, she was now pregnant, especially when Prince Rui didn't have a son. Jingwan knew her too well. She would definitely be complacent and couldn't help showing off in front of her. In fact, it felt good to tease her when she was bored. Therefore, Jingwan dressed herself up vigorously, using the most gorgeous and comfortable clothes and top head ornaments that matched the value and craftsmanship. Jingwan's last outfit was more luxurious than the clothes that great elder princess prepared for her as an adopted daughter. But because Jingwan could suppress it, it made her more radiant and beautiful. When Li Hongyuan saw Jingwan, he was stunned. He was really obsessed with Jingwan. Jingwan's facial features might not be the most beautiful, but now even the most beautiful woman in the world standing beside her couldn't take away her brilliance. Moreover, her skin was good, and the shape of her eyes was good. They were bright and spirited, which made her look extraordinarily beautiful. Her advantages were magnified again. Very beautiful, Li Hongyuan praised. Sure enough, Wan should look like this now. Madame Luo also nodded with satisfaction. Whether Jingwan was dressed plainly or gorgeously, in her opinion, it was not a problem. Her granddaughter was the best in any case. Jingwan couldn't stand Li Hongyuan's invasive gaze. She looked at Madame Luo with a slight blush and said, "Grandma, can fourth sister's clothes be better than mine in Prince Rui's mansion?" She winked slyly. Madame Luo suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's said that women dress up for the man who loves them. She glanced at Li Hongyuan meaningfully and said, "But do you specially want to compare yourself with others?" "It's not that I want to compete with others, it's that someone wants to compete with me. I don't want to argue with her, but she definitely won't let it go. If her food and clothes are better than mine, she'll definitely brag about it endlessly. That smug look on her face is still not as interesting as her envious and hateful look. I just want to annoy her. You are getting more and more strange." Madame Luo pointed at her from a distance. "Didn't you just say that she is precious and can't be annoyed?" Jingwan showed a wanton smile. "I suddenly remembered that fourth sister's vitality is tenacious. Otherwise, Why does she appear energetically every time I think she won't appear again and look for trouble? Madame Luo shook her head and looked like she couldn't do anything about her. Li Hongyuan's heart was itching as if it was being scratched by a kitten's claws. He couldn't wait to pull Jingwon into his arms and ravage her. At the same time, he was burning with jealousy. Wanwan didn't dress up for him, so he wanted to chop up the person she cared about so much and feed him to the dogs. Li Hongyuan drank the tea and looked at Jingwon with a deeper gaze. It was as if the tea in the cup was actually Jingwon's body and soul. It was incomparably delicious. Therefore, when Jingwon accidentally met Li Hongyuan's gaze, she was a little surprised. Jingwon's eyes wandered and she didn't dare to look at him. She always felt that he wanted to tear her apart and eat her. She wondered if he could really endure until they got married. She inexplicably thought of someone's size and her heart trembled. She was only 14 years old. She would die. She was only a child in junior high school. Why did these ancient people have such a strong taste? How could they eat it? However, when she thought of another person who was one day younger than her and was now pregnant, Jingwon felt more and more uncomfortable. She didn't know what she was thinking, but in the blink of an eye, her expression changed. She was so distracted that she didn't even notice Li Hongyuan walking in front of her. Li Hongyuan laughed in a low voice. Jingwon finally came back to her senses. Seeing the person in front of her, she subconsciously took 2 steps back. When she realized what she was thinking, her face turned red. This reaction made Li Hongyuan even more curious. He wanted to know what she was thinking. It had to be known that Jingwon was not a person who was easily embarrassed, especially when it came to intimate contact. It was easier for him to tease her intentionally or unintentionally. However, in order to prevent her from getting angry from embarrassment, he didn't ask. "Let's go." Jingwon calmed herself down and let the heat on her body fade away. Seeing that he was about to leave and that Nurse Lu was still kneeling in the same place, Jingwon wasn't sure if there was a broken teacup under her knees. "Your Highness." She's Prince Rue's servant. Wouldn't it be better for Prince Rue to deal with her? "Jingwon, are you pleading for her?" Li Hongyuan asked. "No, it's just that this is the Luo residence. No matter who made her kneel here, it's not a good thing for the Luo family." Nurse Lu's gaze, which implied that she was appraising the value of goods, not only angered Li Hongyuan, it also made Jingwon unhappy. How could she plead for someone like this? She wasn't her mother. If Jingwon really did plead for mercy, Li Hongyuan wouldn't refuse. However, Jingwon's true nature made him happier. There are always people in this world who think they're infallible. This prince didn't make anyone kneel. "Jingwon, you have to remember that no matter how many small fishes and shrimps are killed, there will be more. It's really a waste of energy. It's far better to just directly kill a big fish. It can also solve the problem from the root." Jingwon was startled. Li Hongyuan, this man, the living king of hell, was not to be trifled with. Moreover, he was ruthless, intelligent, and shrewd. He also had a perfect face. He was simply a super killing machine. His killing power and scale were simply hard to predict. Li Hongyuan wanted to touch her face, but he restrained himself and softly said, "Don't be afraid." Jingwon had seen the terrifying scene of him killing people. After that, he also said similar words. At this moment, Jingwon truly believed that even if he became the enemy of the world, he wouldn't hurt her. What should she do? This kind of man, even if he had a bad record, seemed to be very easy to move. Once or twice, her heart would beat faster. After a few times, perhaps she would really be moved. At this moment, Jingwon finally realized that her heart couldn't really be protected even if she wanted to. She was a little scared but also a little expectant. If she didn't try, although she would prevent harm, her life would be as dull as water. When she thought about it in the future, her memory would be blank. After all, the things that really left a memory were often the things that were deeply engraved. For example, she wouldn't remember what she ate a few days ago, but she probably wouldn't forget the first intimate contact with a man in front of her. Then let it be like this. Let nature take its course. There was no harm in seeing if this man could really move her heart. What harm was there in tasting the joys and sorrows of love? However, Jingwan felt that according to everything that Jin Qinhuang was doing now, whether she was moved or not, it was very easy but also very difficult. The biggest obstacle was none other than those women. The past she could ignore it, but in the future it would depend on whether he could keep it. It was reasonable to say that a man who was fickle in love with beauty would find it difficult to turn back. But after she entered the capital for a few months, she didn't hear any romantic affairs from him. Perhaps the so-called great favor was just a smokescreen. Jingwan was very clear that this was actually her most solid bottom line. That was the boundary between being moved and being unswervingly loyal. If it was only being moved, then she could completely cut off the threads of affection. If it was being unswervingly loyal, right now, her reason was that if the monarch was heartless, then she would stop. When it really came to that, people were often crazy. If he really gave her too high of an expectation and destroyed it with his own hands, perhaps she would pull him to perish together. However, thinking about this now seemed to be superfluous. From a few days ago, she only thought of treating him as a family member. But now she was indulging herself. Such a quick change, Jingwan herself didn't expect it. She looked at Li Hongyuan and suddenly laughed. "Wangya, you have already won. If this is your purpose, then please continue to work hard. Chenu is looking forward to it." Jin Qinhuang's every word and action, to say that there was no purpose. Jingwan didn't believe it. Now, she would just treat it as him pursuing her. Li Hongyuan slightly raised his eyebrows. He seemed to understand something but also seemed to not understand. But seeing Jingwan's bright smile, he really wanted to kiss her. But there were too many people who were an eyesore. "Wangye, it's time to go." Li Hongyuan and the masters of the Luo family left. Lu Mama also slowly stood up, but that feeling of fear and trepidation didn't disperse for a long time. They were small fish and shrimp. Their masters were naturally the big fish. Slaughtering the big fish was refreshing. What did this mean? Jin Qinhuang was actually the same. Lu Mama staggered and almost lost her footing. There was a prickling pain in her knees, as if her legs were about to be crippled. She smiled bitterly. How long had it been since she was offended like this? He didn't let her kneel. That's right, she couldn't bear it and knelt down. But the other party had such a noble status. If he didn't tell her to get up, would she dare to get up herself? Lu Mama endured the pain and followed as fast as possible. She didn't forget that Jin Qinhuang initially wanted to question her own Wangye because of her. She also blamed herself. When she was in Rui Wangfu, she was used to being dignified. It was inevitable that some things that shouldn't be present on a servant's body would appear. Moreover, the places she dealt with all year round were all in the back residence. Even if it was other people who knew her identity, they would still be respectful. For a moment, perhaps she was a little carried away and forgot that there were actually many people who could easily crush her to death. Moreover, it wasn't as difficult as crushing an ant. When facing Jin Qinhuang, she should be even more clear about this point. But if she didn't pay attention, she would make a mistake. To say it was big, it wasn't a big matter. It was just that her eyes were a little presumptuous. But to say it was small, she could lose her life. And Jin Qinhuang's following words, how should she say it to her own Wangye? Outside the gate, the Luo family respectfully sent off Li Hongyuan. At the same time, Luo Peishan handed a box to Jin Qinhuang. Li Hongyuan didn't say anything or ask anything and directly received it. Jingwan then boarded the carriage. From beginning to end, no one looked at Lu Mama. The other two servant girls who had been waiting outside the carriage looked at each other in dismay. What happened? Moreover, Jin Qinhuang came out of the Luo family. In front of the two servant girls, Lu Mama naturally wouldn't bow and bend her knees. With an expressionless face she said, "Still not leaving? What was in that box?" Facing the magnificent heaven stairway, Jingwan naturally prepared to choose the winding road on the side. Li Hongyuan didn't think so. The two horses were the true portrayal of his intentions. Jingwan looked at the horse that she had used on the road. At first, she found it strange that Jin Qinhuang had prepared something for her. When she returned it, he didn't say a word and took it back. She thought that the horse was only lent to her. It turned out that it was waiting for her here. Jingwan didn't refuse. Although Jin Qinhuang was very indulgent towards her, but there were some things that he was very insistent on. In any case, he would probably shoulder everything, so there was really no need to insist on these small things. They could ride horses. If the carriage wanted to go up, they could only take the mountain road on the side. Taking that winding road, if they wanted to reach ahead of the people taking the straight road, they naturally had to be fast. Compared to Li Hongyuan, Jingwan's riding skills could only be considered as a beginner. Therefore, Li Hongyuan was relaxed and comfortable, while Jingwan appeared to be somewhat cautious. However, the horse was docile enough and smart enough. After climbing a section of the stone stairs, Jingwan relaxed a lot. Even so, there was still a bit of jealousy in her eyes when she looked at Li Hongyuan. Li Hongyuan suppressed his speed and followed at the side, chuckling. In the future, Ben Wang will take you wherever you want to go. I want Wang Yi to teach this subject's daughter how to ride a horse. But even if it was riding a horse, he would naturally hold it in his arms. Teaching by hand was the fastest. The speed was slow enough. When Jingwan and Li Hongyuan arrived at Prince Rui's courtyard, Prince Rui had already received the news and personally led people to wait there. Seeing the two people riding side by side, Li Hongming's expression was somewhat gloomy and unclear. However, Li Hongyuan had already put away his previous gentle attitude. From the looks of it, it seemed that he was only slightly better than when he was facing other people. When Jingwan saw Prince Rui, she immediately understood why Li Hongyuan's attitude was so different before and after. She thought to herself, this is a proper king of acting. He's so good at controlling his emotions. After getting off the horse, Li Hongyuan only lightly greeted third imperial brother and third sister-in-law. Jingwan respectfully greeted them on the side. Li Hongming smiled at Li Hongyuan rather intimately, but only raised his hand slightly to Jingwan, alienating and indifferent. After Nurse Lu said a few simple words to him, he should know how to face Jingwan. Whether it's in the capital or outside, sixth imperial brother basically doesn't look for me to drink. I'll have your sister-in-law prepare 2 dishes to go with wine. Today let's have a good drink. Li Hongming originally wanted to pat him on the shoulder, but seemed to think of something and withdrew his hand. Third imperial brother, I think you should know why I'm here. I know. I'm not strict enough. Sixth imperial brother, don't worry. I'll definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. That's the best. Li Hongming nodded with a smile. He tilted his head. Princess, take third Miss Luo to see Madame Luo. As sisters, they should have a lot to talk about. Yes, Your Highness. Madame Lu, Lord Rui's wife, replied. After seeing them off, Madame Lu smiled gently at Jingwan. Concubining often talks about her family. She must be very happy to see her cousin today. Really? Jingwan didn't say much. She didn't believe that Madame Lu didn't know her attitude towards Luo Jingying. Either she was so good at acting that she pretended not to know and didn't show any flaws, or she was fed up with Luo Jingying and was waiting for Jingwan to help her vent her anger. Along the way, Madame Lu seemed to be very intimate with Jingwan, as if she was treating her own sister. Of course, many of the so-called sisters in the backyard of Prince Rui's mansion were biological sisters. In the backyard of Prince Rui's mansion, except for Madame Lu, Luo Jingying's family background should be the noblest. What's more, Prince Rui doted on her a lot, so from the beginning, she was treated only a little worse than a concubine. She had her own yard and a group of servants. When Luo Jingying knew that Jingwan was coming to see her, she was unhappy at first, but then she became strangely excited. Without another word, she hurriedly went back to her room to change her clothes and freshen up. She used to envy Jingwan for having so many good things, but it turned out that she was too shallow. Compared to what she had now, Jingwan's things were nothing. When Jingwan arrived with Madame Lu, she saw that Luo Jingying's smiling face became a little stiff after looking at her. Then her face cracked little by little. Everything was within Jingwan's expectation. Thinking about it, wasn't it fun when you were bored? When they came closer, Luo Jingying just stared at Jingwan as if she wanted to eat Jingwan alive. Madame Lu frowned. It seemed that Nanny Lu was right. They were sisters living under the same roof. Why was there such a big gap between them? However, now she was a member of Prince Rui's mansion. If she was rude, it would be a disgrace to Prince Rui's mansion. Concubining. There was a hint of warning in the voice. Luo Jingying suddenly came to herself. She quickly stopped looking at Madame Lu and bent down to salute. Sure enough, Prince Rui's mansion is good at teaching people. Look at the fourth sister's manners now. This was not a compliment to Prince Rui's mansion. It was to tell Madame Lu that Luo Jingying didn't have any manners when she was in the Luo family. Miss Luo, you must be joking. Everyone says that the Luo family is a family of scholars and etiquette. If there is another bad seedling, it's that seedling's own fault. Every family has a few bad descendants. Jingwan nodded. Your Highness, you're right. Luo Jingying's face turned pale because of Madame Lu and Jingwan's words. However, she didn't dare to lose her temper in front of Madame Lu. In Prince Rui's mansion, she could despise other concubines, but she couldn't be disrespectful to Madame Lu. Prince Rui was a man of rules. Just because she talked back to Madame Lu once, Prince Rui neglected her for several days. So, she didn't dare to make the same mistake again. Your Highness, I haven't seen my third sister for a long time. Can I talk to her alone? Luo Jingying asked with a hint of pleading. Madame Lu didn't answer. Instead, she glanced at Jingwan, obviously asking for her opinion. Jingwan nodded. Your Highness, please grant my wish. Miss Luo, you're too serious. Concubine Ing, Miss Luo is your older sister, and the future princess, you shouldn't neglect her. If she let this one suffer here, it's possible that the King of Hell would blame this on Wang Ye's head. With the Gong Prince as a precedent, she didn't want Wang Yi to suffer the same fate as her maternal family. Because the left governor was the Gong Prince's biggest backer, the King of Hell would make a move on him. During this time, the Gong Prince was like a grandson in front of his father-in-law. Her prince's biggest backer wasn't her maternal family, but his biggest backer had an unusual relationship with the King of Hell. When the time came, her maternal family was the most likely to suffer. Luo Jingying's heart was filled with hatred. Your Highness, you're worrying too much. Before I got married, my relationship with my third sister was the best. Even if I neglect anyone, I won't neglect her. Madame Lu gave her a deep look. I hope so. When it came to understanding Li Hongming, there was probably no one who knew him better than her. On the surface, he seemed to care about his children, but in fact, that wasn't the case. Therefore, the one in Luo Jingying's belly, he wouldn't care much about it. After Madame Lu left, there were only the two sisters left, and there were already people waiting on them. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653216. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com Mobile Edition. Chapter 197. I also miss third elder sister very much. Luo Jingying gritted her teeth and said, in that case, we sisters really think of the same thing. Speaking of which, you and I were born 2 days after each other, but in fact we were only separated by a few hours. Tell me, why didn't you reincarnate into my mother's belly? Then we would be twins. In that case, you would be a concubine after entering Prince Rui's mansion. It's really unfair for you to be a concubine. Jingwan said with a sigh. Yes, why didn't she reincarnate into the second branch? That way, everything that Luo Jingwan had since she was a child would belong to her. She wouldn't have to be suppressed by Luo Jingwen all the time, and she still couldn't live a peaceful life. She had already taken out the best things, but she still couldn't compare to Luo Jingwen. She looked at Luo Jingwen's tender appearance and thought about how the items in Rouge Pavilion were already ridiculously expensive to begin with, but they were sold to her at double the price. Needless to say, it was definitely this B*Tisich's doing. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Ah, fourth younger sister, are you serious? Jingwen chuckled. You're so naive. Although reincarnation is a technical job, if you screw up, no matter how good your reincarnation is, you'll probably be done for. Don't you think so, fourth sister? Luo Jing. It's fine if you don't follow the rules at home, but it's too ugly if you still act like this after marriage. Even if you don't think for yourself, you should think for the child in your belly. When the child is born and knows that he has such an unruly mother, he will be ashamed to see others. Jingwen glanced at Luo Jingying's flat belly and then looked at her undeveloped body. It was a sin. This child was too important for Luo Jingying. It was the foundation of her life. When she gave birth to her eldest son, Prince Rui would ask for the title of concubine for her. At that time, princess consort would be the princess consort. Without a son, she could only hide. Thinking of this, Luo Jingying tried her best to calm her anger. When she looked at Jingwen again, she suddenly laughed and waved the servant girls who were waiting on her to leave. These people understood her temper, so they obediently retreated. However, she couldn't order Jingwen's servants around. They completely ignored her. Jingwen just raised her chin, and Nanny Gong and two servant girls left. They were well behaved, and their clothes were not out of place. Third sister is right. This child is as important as my life. Speaking of which, I may be lacking in other aspects, but God is still kind to me. He gave me a child on my first time. But after third sister gets married, I don't know if you'll be so lucky. But it doesn't matter. I'll keep my son's little clothes for you. You have to know that it's only once. So many people beg for it but can't. Jingwen looked at her with a subtle expression. Even now, the world should know that 13 or 14 years old was too young to have a child. Of course, even if the in-laws knew this, they would not make things difficult for their children. Therefore, for a girl who married early, only the mother would tell her and even prepare some medicine. Looking at Luo Jingying, she seemed to be completely unaware of the danger and was very proud of it. Jingwen didn't know that at the beginning, Luo Jingying persuaded her parents with the idea of giving birth to their eldest son. At that time, Madame Lu was still dreaming of restoring her family's glory. She thought that this woman would be in danger whenever she gave birth, and that her daughter wouldn't be so unlucky. Later, she realized that Luo Jingying was an ingrate and was too lazy to remind her. Luo Jingying misunderstood Jingwen's gaze as envy and jealousy, so she smiled even more brightly. Third sister, you don't have to be jealous. Ha! Jingwen sneered without hiding her sarcasm. She was no longer polite. Are you crazy? Jealous of you. Jealous of you. Jealous of your ignorance. With your small body, you haven't even grown up yet. Do you want to have a child? Do you want to die? Luo Jingying, it's sad that you have fallen to this point and don't know anything. What nonsense are you talking about? Luo Jingying glared at Jingwen. If you give birth to a son, it's probably better. Princess Rui doesn't have a son, so she will raise him under her own name. It's hard to say whether she will give him the title of a legitimate son. But if Princess Rui gives birth to a legitimate son, your son, the eldest son, will be an obstacle that must be eradicated. If you give birth to a daughter, your daughter will most likely be worse than your second sister. After all, you, the legitimate daughter, are younger than your second sister. Princess Rui's two daughters are much older than your daughter. Don't say that it's impossible. What you can do, others can naturally do. It's just an eye for an eye. Luo Jing, don't think that you can fool me like this. The Luo family all say that you have a good heart. You should let them see how vicious and black your heart is. Luo Jingying said fiercely. Jingwen looked at her face and knew that even if she didn't believe her, she was suspicious. His Highness dotes on me and arranges the best for me. Even if I'm still young, nothing will happen to me. Luo Jingying seemed to regain her confidence when she said this. Luo Jingwen, don't play these little tricks with me. I'm just a leftover. A trace of contempt and disdain appeared on her face. Is that so? Then do the people who serve you always tell you what is good for the child? Have they ever told you what is good for you? Do they care about the child or you? If you can tell me one thing about them being considerate of you, I'll admit that I'm playing with numbers. Luo Jingying's face changed again. She seemed to be thinking about it, and her face became worse. It was clear that Jingwan was right. After you die, other women will bully your child, spend your money, live in your house and sleep with your man. Of course, the last one doesn't have to wait for you to die. It will always be like this. Luo Jingwan, Luo Jingwan. Luo Jingying held her stomach and was full of hatred. What, do you not want the child now? But without the child, do you still have any value? What's more, the child of the imperial family can't be harmed even if it's the mother. Otherwise, you will be accused of harming the imperial child. How many heads do you have to bear such a crime? Luo Jingying's lips moved. She wasn't so stupid to lose the child. In her opinion, Prince Rue, who didn't have a son, cared a lot about the child. Now that she was surrounded by people arranged by him, there was no possibility that he would do anything. Although she always believed that Wang Yi really loved her, she subconsciously didn't dare to take the risk. She didn't dare to take the risk of what would happen to her if she didn't have the child. But harming the imperial child is a serious crime. This is what third sister said. Luo Jingying laughed slyly. Then she held her stomach and screamed miserably. She kept saying that her stomach hurt and kept saying things like, "Third sister, don't." The servants serving her were not light. As for Jingwan and the people she brought, they were calm and composed. Before coming, Jingwan had already expected that Luo Jingying would cause trouble. Her biggest bargaining chip now was the child in her stomach. Jingwan felt that she had overestimated her. Luo Jingying didn't have much courage and couldn't be ruthless to herself. Luo Jingying held on tightly to the people supporting her. "Wang Yi, where is Wang Yi?" No matter what, this wasn't a small matter. The servants had to hurriedly inform Wang Yi and Wang Fei. How could Li Hongyuan not know that Prince Rue was alarmed? Jingwan was here. How could he ignore it? Originally, Li Hongming said that Madame Lu would deal with it. He didn't need to care. He believed that Luo Third Miss wasn't that kind of person. It's better to know who's right and who's wrong. If he was vague, there would be plenty of excuses to shirk responsibility. Luo Jingying's voice could be heard from afar. "Third imperial brother, this concubine is full of energy." Prince Rue didn't look good. During this time, Luo Jingying's nature was exposed. He also saw some of her unspeakable words and deeds. He tolerated it and only sent 2 nannies to teach her the rules. However, Luo Jingying acted coquettishly and shamelessly and didn't want to learn. Now she even pretended to be like this. Perhaps it was a mistake to choose her at that time. Princess Lu arrived first. She saw at a glance that this matter was most likely pretended. Her face couldn't help but turn a little dark. She completely ignored her warning. Li Hongming saw Luo Jingying pitifully reaching out to him as if she was begging for a hug. If there were no outsiders, he wouldn't mind fulfilling her wish. However, with his brother by his side and outsiders present, he only felt embarrassed. Therefore, he completely ignored Luo Jingying. He glanced at Jingwan. Because of their arrival, she had already stood up. She was indifferent and calm, without the slightest bit of panic. With this kind of temperament, she was much better than Luo Jingying. He sighed in his heart, but his face didn't change at all. Looking at Luo Jingying again, he suddenly had an idea. His eyes fell on Luo Jingying's belly. If he beat her at her own game and directly got rid of this child, would he be able to exchange for a chance? It was basically confirmed that Luo Jingying had no status in the Luo family. However, Luo Jingwan was different. She was deeply loved by Madame Luo. If she got into trouble, the Luo family would be very unlikely to not care about her. Li Hongyuan watched coldly from the side. He could tell at a glance what Li Hongming was planning. In his opinion, Li Hongyuan was the one who had been playing around for a long time, treating him as if he didn't exist. Someone summoned the imperial physician. This sentence completely interrupted Li Hongming's thoughts. He turned to look at him. She's just a concubine. Why bother the imperial physician? Just let the Fu doctor take a look. He dispelled his previous idea. He couldn't control Luo Peishan, but provoked this living hell. The gains didn't make up for the losses. If this bastard wanted to mess with him, he had no way to get back at him. Moreover, when he had accepted Luo Jingying as his concubine, outsiders had already guessed that there was something fishy going on, but because there was no real evidence, no one dared to say anything. Now that the imperial physician had been invited to take her pulse, wouldn't everything be exposed? At that time, the Luo family's reputation would be damaged even more. However, the image he had always maintained would also be completely ruined. Third imperial brother still doesn't have an heir, and imperial mother is also anxious. When the concubine was pregnant, the female physician stayed by her side every day. The imperial physician also took her pulse every 3 days. Now, this one's background is much more noble than that one. Third imperial brother, why are you neglecting her? Li Hongming's expression didn't change. Sixth younger brother, you misunderstood. I think it's because I don't have many children. The previous child, perhaps I cared too much about it. I couldn't suppress my good fortune and couldn't save her life. Therefore, it's better for this one to be less important. It has nothing to do with this prince. This imperial physician must be invited. He must let this prince know whether the fetus is really affected or someone is deliberately playing tricks. If it's the former, then it can only be your bad luck, third imperial brother. If it's the latter, then this prince can't help but turn the fake into the real. Li Hongyuan's words were indifferent, but the meaning behind them was frightening. Li Hongming was glad that he dispelled the idea. Otherwise, the one who would suffer in the end would be him. However, Jingwan was surprised by Li Hongyuan's unreasonable tyranny. If you suffer a loss, then it's your own bad luck. If you let him suffer a loss, then he'll return it to you 10 times, 100 times over. However, Prince Rui didn't dare to say anything. Because he kept silent, even if he couldn't retaliate against him, at least there wouldn't be any more disastrous losses. Even if he had no power or influence on the surface, in reality, to some extent, he had more power than the emperor. Moreover, the emperor was absolutely not as free and unfettered as he was. The emperor would be bound by many rules and regulations, but he wouldn't. To be a Wangye, to be able to achieve the status of Jin Qinwang, was probably unprecedented. And when you became the object of such a man's protection, it was actually quite interesting. Sixth younger brother, she's just young and delicate. She wants this prince to take a look at her. Looking at her appearance, it doesn't seem like she's affected by the fetus. Why should sixth younger brother care about this little trick of the inner residence? Let's go, let's continue drinking. Third older brother recently got some good stuff. Let's open sixth younger brother's eyes. What was this called, spending money to avoid disaster? Looking at Li Hongyuan's attitude, it was clear that he was accustomed to it. Jingwan also understood that Li Hongyuan's real purpose in having her come was purely to extort Prince Rui's things. The other things were just incidental. It didn't matter whether they could be achieved or not. Wangye, may this subject's daughter take her leave first. Speaking of this, because I was born a day earlier than fourth younger sister, I was considered to be a head above fourth younger sister. Fourth younger sister's relationship with this subject's daughter hasn't been harmonious since childhood. She is easily agitated when she sees this subject's daughter. Now that her body is heavy, it's not good for everyone. Moreover, before I left, grandfather and grandmother didn't agree with this subject's daughter coming. In the future, if there's no need to see her. Jingwan seemed to be tactful, but the meaning she wanted to express was very clear. Li Hongming was clearly furious, but he still maintained a perfect smile on his face. Not to mention that Li Hongyuan was present. He couldn't flare up. Even if it was just Jingwan, he still needed to maintain his poise. Third Miss Luo is right. There's no need to force people who don't get along. Wang Ye, I feel that third Miss Luo is quite congenial. In the future we will be sisters-in-law. I wonder if I can occasionally invite third Miss Luo to our mansion for a chat. Princess Lu said in a soft voice. I can't make the decision. It depends on whether third Miss Luo is willing. Digression. https://www.bikin.com/11/11807/6653217. HTML. Please click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bikin.com mobile edition website. Bikin. Chapter 198. I can't make the decision. It depends on whether Miss Luo is willing or not. Prince Rue smiled warmly. Compared with his gloominess before, he was probably really happy now. He looked at Princess Lu with a much softer look. What was a good wife? Princess Lu was a good wife. She was anxious for Prince Rue and thought for him. When a man couldn't do anything, he relied on wife diplomacy. As long as there was contact, he didn't have to worry about the relationship. Not to mention other things, just based on this point alone, even 10 Luo Jingyings would not be able to catch up. Originally, she had her own advantages, but unfortunately, she did not have a good relationship with Jingwan and the Luo family. Moreover, it seemed that her IQ was not online. She had already warned her, but she still messed things up. Li Hongming obviously wouldn't fall in love with any woman. In his eyes, there were only value and no value. Could Luo Jingying's value be compared with Princess Lu's? It was impossible before today, and it was even more impossible after today. After Jingwan made it clear that the Luo family didn't care about Luo Jingying, her value was probably only to give birth to a baby. During the pregnancy she might get some benefits. The so-called benefits came from Princess Lu's care for the baby. It was difficult for her to see Li Hongming again. After giving birth to the baby, Luo Jingying's fate was definitely worrying. Princess Consort's invitation, this subject's daughter does not dare to refuse. The outside of the palace is filled with beautiful mountains, rivers, and sceneries. Occasionally we can go for a swim or sit down to eat some tea. It would be a beautiful thing. Jingwan smiled as she spoke. It was obvious that Jingwan had secretly changed the concept. Entering Prince Rue's territory and sightseeing outside were two different things. Outside they could coincidentally meet many people. Instead of two people traveling together, it became many people traveling together. Even if he understood Jingwan's meaning, he could only feel helpless. Since Jingwan was about to leave, Li Hongyuan naturally wouldn't stay. He wasn't interested in playing a brotherly drama. As for drinking, he had good wine. Li Hongming couldn't compare with him. However, when Li Hongyuan was about to leave, Li Hongming was a little surprised. If he came together because he happened to be in the Luo family, although it was unbelievable, it was not unacceptable. They would leave together. Li Hongming glanced at Jingwan and Li Hongyuan with a little curiosity. After the marriage was confirmed, his sixth brother showed some unusual care for the third Miss Luo. This kind of care seemed to go beyond a certain category. Since Li Hongyuan wanted to leave, naturally, no one could stop him. And just at this time, noble consort Su sent someone over. She said that she heard that the third Miss Luo was here and wanted to visit her. Jingwan naturally didn't have the right to refuse noble consort Su's invitation, and there was also no need to refuse. However, Jingwan looked at Li Hongyuan. Perhaps because there was someone he didn't want to do. His eyes weren't gentle and affectionate, but indifferent and familiar. There was even a trace of gloominess and hostility. This was really a contradictory and complicated person. However, when he was with her, he seemed to be very pure. In his pure eyes, there was only her. Li Hongyuan nodded imperceptibly. Then Jingwon went to see noble consort Su without worry. Compared to the last time they met, there was a clear change in their identities. At that time, it was just a normal thing for an official's daughter to be summoned by an imperial concubine. Now, Jingwon was her future daughter-in-law. It was said that mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were natural enemies. What's more, it was said that Prince Jean and noble consort Su had a deep mother-son relationship. With Duchess Ding as an example, Jingwon was actually a little nervous. When a noble consort went crazy, it was much more terrifying than Duchess Ding. As they left, Prince Rue and his wife also sent them off. According to Princess Lu's intention, they were going to pay respects to noble consort Su. Obviously, it was to cheer Jingwon up. Although the essential purpose wasn't for Jingwon, Jingwon still accepted it. After all, this was the first time meeting. With one more person, she would feel more at ease. Then, the acting Luo Jingying was forgotten in place. She was in a daze. She didn't know if it was because she hadn't come back to her senses yet, or because the blow was too big. However, the person who served her was obviously irreverent. She changed the rudder according to the wind. She didn't want to. Li Hongyuan and Li Hongming also went to noble consort Su with the same banner as Princess Lu. When noble consort Su saw the four people appear together, she was stunned at first, but then she laughed. After they greeted each other, she hurriedly called Jingwon to her. When she held her affectionately, she felt the smooth touch of her hand and suddenly thought of something. White as snow, white as snow. She looked at Li Hongyuan with some ridicule. Li Hongyuan was very thick-skinned. His face didn't blush and his heart didn't beat fast. He was calm as if he didn't understand what noble consort Su was saying at all. Jingwon and Princess Lu were also a little confused. However, Li Hongming quickly understood noble consort Su's meaning. He quickly glanced at Jingwon with a look of self-understanding in his eyes. He quickly looked away and smiled without saying anything. Whether it was noble consort Su or Li Hongming, they probably thought that Jingwon was Li Hongyuan's type. Okay, this person has been sent here. You can do whatever you want. Noble consort Su waved at her two sons with some disdain, indicating that they should get out of here quickly and not be an eyesore. Mother, you don't want your sons anymore after you have a daughter-in-law? Li Hongyuan said in a low voice, coquettishly. Is she still your daughter-in-law? You are shameless, but Miss Luo is. Get out of here, get out of here. Don't pretend in front of me. Noble consort Su scolded with a smile. Li Hongyuan thought to himself, I have done what I should and shouldn't do. How can she still be someone else's daughter-in-law? The two brothers were driven away by noble consort Su just like that. Noble consort Su looked at Jingwon again and found that she seemed to be a little shy. She smiled gently. She didn't know if it was because of the makeup, but the corners of noble consort Su's eyes were not so obvious. Naturally, she lost some of her sharpness and looked more gentle. Originally, she was graceful and noble, so it was not easy to get close to her. However, because of this gentleness, she had a good impression of her. It was like you thought that the other party was a flower on a high mountain, but in fact, the other party was especially fond of you. You couldn't help but feel flattered and happy. If it was just an ordinary girl, she would probably think that noble consort Su was a very easy person to get along with. Just think about it. She had been favored in the harem for decades. She could compete with the empress in the harem. Her son was one of the most powerful competitors for the throne. How could such a woman be easy to deal with? The atmosphere created by noble consort Su didn't make Jingwon relax. Instead, it made her more vigilant. When she spoke, she paid special attention to it. Could be said that it was watertight. And Princess Lu quietly accompanied them. Seeing that Jingwon and noble consort Su were competing, One was shy and the other was gentle. Princess Lu sighed secretly in the letter. This sister-in-law was also amazing. After being noble consort Su's daughter-in-law for so many years, she knew very well how powerful noble consort Su was. There were only a few girls who could deal with her freely. No, thinking back, it should be said that Jingwan was the first one she had seen. Thinking back, it was really not worth mentioning. After the two brothers left, Li Hongming wanted to go to Luqingdi to make a good impression, but Li Hongyuan was not interested. Knowing what kind of character he was, Li Hongming didn't care about him. He just teased him for a while and left. Li Hongyuan looked at the direction of noble consort Su's courtyard with a rather deep look. He knew that Jingwan could deal with it, but he also knew that she wouldn't like the atmosphere. He summoned an E and whispered something. Then he walked around casually and returned to his courtyard. Noble consort Su was talking with Jingwan excitedly when a servant came to report that great elder princess sent someone to invite third Miss Luo to enjoy the flowers. Noble consort Su was slightly stunned. At that moment, the smile in her eyes obviously faded away. In the blink of an eye, she returned to normal. She patted Jingwan's hand and said, "Good girl, you can go now. Don't let your foster mother wait for a long time." Jingwan hesitated for a moment and then bowed to leave. After Jingwan left, noble consort Su became a little indifferent. This girl is good enough for sixth brother, but it's a pity. Princess Lu was slightly confused, but she didn't ask because it was not necessary. She's a good helper. Yuan'er doesn't need her. Princess Lu understood. She lowered her eyebrows and narrowed her eyes. She wanted to give her son the best, but it was a pity. What happened in your courtyard? The Luo family wouldn't come to them for no reason. I'm about to tell you. Princess Lu told noble consort Su about the Luo Jingying in detail. This kind of thing was known to others, but there was no need to hide it from noble consort Su. When Li Hongming married a Luo Jingying, noble consort Su also felt that there was something fishy. However, she knew that her son didn't take the initiative to mention it, so it shouldn't be a big deal, so she didn't ask. In fact, it was not a big deal that he just slept with a girl who was somewhat rich and powerful. Her character and brain are not good, but her luck is good. Since she is pregnant, just take good care of her. She can't play a role in the Luo family's affairs, so don't worry about it. It's her good fortune to be alive, and it's her fate if she can't be alive. Noble consort Su said and paused. If she is really good at giving birth, it's not bad to keep her and give birth to a few more children. That was to be treated as a pure fertility tool. Princess Lu forced a smile. Although she had seen everything clearly, she still felt bitter in her heart. Mother, you're right. You are still young and your body is fine. Work hard with Ming'er and try to give birth to a legitimate son. Although when you take the position, most of the heirs won't be legitimate sons, I still think highly of you. Princess Lu's eyes reddened. She didn't know if she was really touched or something else. Thank you, mother. Well, you can go back. Deal with the concubine in the backyard. If you don't like her, you don't have to keep her. When the time comes, just keep the child and go to the mother. https://www.yanguiwaiwo.com/11/11807/6653219. HTML. Please click here to report. Registration is free. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.yanguiwaiwo.com. Biku Pavilion mobile version reading website. Yanguiwaiwo. Chapter 199. You're a virtuous director. Imperial consort Su paused. Even if you can't give birth to a legitimate son, raising one in the future will be the same. You know what Ming'er's personality is like. As long as you do what you need to do, then no one will take away what belongs to you. Her voice was gentle, but the meaning behind her words made people shiver uncontrollably. Princess Lu suppressed the coldness in her heart. No matter what Imperial Consort Su said, she responded respectfully. Of course, she knew Li Hongming's temperament. If she did her job well, what was hers would be hers. These words could be used to coax her a few years ago. Li Hongming didn't seem to be interested in beauty, and he respected his first wife. That was because he needed a good reputation, and that was because she was still useful now. If one day he ascended to that supreme position, Princess Lu was almost certain what would happen. As the saying goes, the more suppressed it was, the more serious it would be when it broke out. What's more, now there was an incomparably carefree and unscrupulous Prince Jean as a comparison. Don't look at how all the princes were deadpan and sanctimonious. To say that they weren't envious and jealous of Jean Qinhuang, it was almost impossible to find them. These people should also include the other children of the imperial clan. Most likely, not a single one of them wasn't thinking, why could he be so unscrupulous, but they couldn't. When there were no more restrictions, it would probably become even worse. It was fine if he didn't meet the woman he liked. Then, if she didn't make a mistake, she probably wouldn't lose the position of empress. If he met the person he liked, the cold palace might be the best place for her. Princess Lu saw all of this clearly. Her feelings for Li Hongming had long been wiped clean. Li Hongming maintained a good image on the surface, and she also played the role of a good wife and mother. She couldn't quit because of resentment. After all, if she couldn't be a princess, then she was not far from death. Moreover, it wasn't as simple as her life and death. She had 2 daughters. If they had a stepmother, she couldn't imagine what would happen to them. Even if she didn't care about the position of empress, she couldn't imagine that the one who would ascend the throne in the future wouldn't be Li Hongyuan. Because if that happened, her entire family would be destroyed. As the saying goes, one's glory is shared, and one's loss is shared. No matter how bad that man was, she had to help him. Noble consort Su sent Princess Lu away and sat there thinking. She also found that her youngest son cared about the 3rd young lady of the Luo family very much. But it didn't matter. Whether he really liked her or for other reasons, she wouldn't do the same thing as Duchess Ding. Maybe she would feel a little sad, but she was really scared by her son's reputation of bringing bad luck to his wife. Now they finally had a girl. Master Liaochen said that they were a match made in heaven, and nothing had happened to them until now. Even if she was dissatisfied, she would never show it. Otherwise, if others were inferior, the emperor would be dissatisfied with her. In actuality, she was quite glad that this girl had been given to her son and not to Li Hongyi to be his step-consort. If Madame Lu could sense it, then noble consort Su, as the person involved, could also sense it. This girl wasn't a simple person. She was well aware of the power of pillow talk. If this talk was unorthodox, then it would be good to use it on the opponent. However, this girl didn't seem like someone who would do evil, so it would only have a positive effect. In addition, this girl had a powerful maternal family. It was good for the person who married her, but bad for the person who married her. Although it was a pity that she couldn't be used, it was better to let her be a useless chess piece than to let others have her. Li Hongyuan's leisure didn't last for 4 hours before Emperor Lu Qingdi summoned him. Li Hongyuan was very annoyed by his old man's summons, but because he had nothing to do, he didn't give his old man a hard time. At this time, Emperor Lu Qingdi had already finished dealing with political affairs, and Prince Rui and the Gong Prince were also present. It was as if the father and son were chatting with Lei Lei. After Li Hongyuan paid his respects, they didn't say anything and just picked up the cup of tea. Who was Li Hongyuan? At the beginning, perhaps he didn't understand the meaning of Emperor Lu Qingdi's words, but Emperor Lu Qingdi made it so obvious, if he still didn't understand, then he would have lived in vain. However, even so, he didn't intend to cooperate well. With a cold face, he looked at Emperor Lu Qingdi as if to say, "Are you idle?" Emperor Lu Qingdi didn't get a response, and Li Hongyuan's gaze made his balls hurt. He cursed in his heart, "You unfilial son." However, Emperor Lu Qingdi couldn't bring himself to directly ask for it. The others also looked at the confrontation between the father and son, not daring to say a word. It must be said that every time they saw Emperor Lu Chengdi suffer in the hands of Li Hongyuan, as the other sons, they were envious and jealous, but in fact they were secretly happy. It couldn't be helped, who told them to often be trained like dogs by Emperor Lu Chengdi. So when they saw him sulking, their hearts secretly rubbed, feeling a great sense of relief. Get lost! Seeing Li Hongyuan was like a wooden stake, Emperor Lu Chengdi was so angry that he smashed the cup again. Li Hongyuan looked at the broken cup that was still 2 steps away from his feet. This old man was really afraid of hurting him, smashing things farther and farther away. Speaking of which, with your attitude, it would be strange if you didn't raise an unfilial son. However, as the saying goes, the heavens cannot be offended. Li Hongyuan only angered him on ordinary trivial matters. If he really became lawless, then no matter how much affection he had, it would be worn away. Li Hongyuan clicked his tongue. Mu-en. When Mu Gonggong, who was outside, heard his master's call, he immediately came in and presented a small box. Li Hongyuan took it and casually threw it to Emperor Li's personal attendant. This was originally prepared for Fu Huang, but I didn't think that Fu Huang would be so impatient. A Ken will retire. Turning around, he leisurely left. Emperor Lu Chengdi was so angry that he almost fell backwards, cursing vile spawn, vile spawn. It must be said that the guards outside were already familiar with these words. Their eyelids didn't even move. Emperor Li's personal attendant carefully held the small box. Just now, he almost didn't catch it and it really fell to the ground. Perhaps not long after, his head would fall to the ground. He waited until Emperor Lu Chengdi almost vented his anger before he hesitated whether to present it or not. Stupid slave, still not bringing it over. Emperor Lu roared. Don't look at how Prince Jin was arrogant in front of Emperor Lu. Other people would still tremble in the face of his anger. Emperor Lu Chengdi held the box and subconsciously wanted to throw it away. But in the end, he couldn't bear to and put it down. Prince Jin personally picked the tea. Before this official made the tea, he instructed this official to make sure it was done well. After tasting it, he left more than half of it to be presented to His Majesty. If it wasn't for Luo Peishan's words not long ago, how could Emperor Lu do this kind of shameful thing? But there was no other way. As the saying goes, only things that people couldn't ask for would make people think of them and feel that they were precious. His other sons would give him some good things from time to time to show filial piety, but this evil creature, other than longevity, he never gave him anything. Even if it was longevity, the things that were sent were basically his rewards. Even if it was just a simple change, he wasn't willing. Being so perfunctory, so careless, Emperor Li's heart was very stifled. But unfortunately, he didn't treat imperial concubine Su like this. Food, clothing, all kinds of things imperial concubine Su could receive them. Although it wasn't a lot, it couldn't resist that kind of intention. Every time imperial concubine Su liked it very much. Imperial concubine Su also very unkindly went to Emperor Lu to show off, making Emperor Lu more and more depressed. It was fine if it was just imperial concubine Su, but there was also Princess Min Xiang. Although the number of times was much less than imperial concubine Su, it was still far better than someone who didn't have anything. Therefore, if Princess Min Xiang had any opinions about Li Hongyuan, Emperor Lu would definitely be the first to show a black face. Your 6th imperial brother is so good to you, but you actually don't know what's good for you. Therefore, good and bad were all judged by comparison, but Emperor Lu just didn't compare this son with the other sons. Alright, the more those sons did, the more it meant that they had ulterior motives. It wasn't easy for his son to think of giving him something, and it was even personally picked by him. How could he not be happy? Naturally, after Li Hongyuan didn't present it to him for a long time, he couldn't help but take the initiative to ask. The most infuriating thing was that this vile spawn still deliberately angered him in the end. However, after his anger subsided, Emperor Lu held the box and chuckled. He called over the palace maid who was the best at making tea and had everything moved to the study, boiling water and making tea right under his nose. Then, he personally took out a small portion. That small amount seemed to be able to clearly see how many there were at a glance. Seeing him treasuring it so much, the palace maid's hands trembled. It had to be said that as the emperor, what kind of good tea in the world hadn't he drunk before? Sometimes, palace maids like them would be able to bask in some of his glory. But now, the palace maid felt that if she dared to spill even one, he would. Emperor Luchengdi stared straight at it. Just as he mixed the tea, his nose twitched, as if the room was already filled with the fragrance of tea. His two sons watched from the side, having the urge to cover their eyes. Their father's current appearance was really a bit unbearable to look at. Their hearts were filled with resentment and unwillingness, but more than that, they were helpless. They worked hard and suffered untold hardships, but they might not be able to get a smile from him. In the end, they were often suspected of having ulterior motives. But that person, he was relaxed. Perhaps, even if he sent a blade of grass, it would be regarded as the most peculiar and rare grass by their imperial father. Even if it wasn't a treasure, it was still a treasure. The Gong Prince's face was already a bit embarrassed, but Prince Rue was as usual, even jokingly asking Emperor Luchengdi for a sip of tea. "Can you be short of a sip of tea?" As expected, he was rejected, but his expression didn't change. Emperor Luchengdi impatiently tasted the tea. Obviously it wasn't steeped yet, it was still boiling hot, but he inelegantly blew on it and drank a little bit. That expression of enjoyment was like tasting the finest nectar. Prince Rue's expression was also a bit difficult to maintain. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653222. HTML chapter error. Click here to report, no registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website, M. Bicken. Chapter 200. When Luchengdi finally finished his cup of tea, Prince Rue and Prince Gong finally asked to be excused. Standing here was simply suffering, so out of sight, out of mind. Perhaps they were provoked by Luchengdi, but after the two left, they didn't even bother to maintain the brotherly respect on the surface. They each returned to their own homes, each looking for their own mother. The resentment in Li Hongming's heart had reached a critical point. If he didn't vent it out, he might really do something unexpected. When he saw Imperial Consort Su, he directly kicked out all the servants, even forgetting basic etiquette and rules, venting his anger on Imperial Consort Su. The only place where he could reveal his pure emotions was Imperial Consort Su. Imperial Consort Su was calm and composed, leisurely drinking tea. When Li Hongming finally calmed down, she spoke with a bit of apology. "Are you done?" Mufei Aken was rude. Aken asks Mufei for forgiveness. Imperial Consort Su had always been strict with Prince Rue, but when he was in a bad mood, she was a gentle and loving mother. "It's nothing more than your sixth brother and your imperial father's filial piety that made you unhappy. You're a big man, someone who wants to ascend the throne, yet you're acting like a spoiled girl. What's wrong with you?" Li Hongming's face was a bit ashen. "Mufei, don't confuse the main point every time." Imperial Consort Su glanced at him faintly. "This consort told you a long time ago that your imperial father won't pass the throne to your sixth brother. How many times has this consort told you not to take your sixth brother's favor to heart? Why don't you listen and insist on pestering him?" Mufei wants Aken to feel at ease, or at least explain things clearly to Aken. You always want Aken to feel at ease, but in fact, Aken only sees Imperial Father as his son. Or nothing. Imperial Consort Su was silent for a moment, quietly looking at Li Hongming. "If you have any trust in this consort, you shouldn't say such things." Li Hongming's lips squirmed. "Mufei, Aken just feels terrified every time I see that scene. Your sixth brother is a devil. Even if the throne is passed to a child who is crying piteously for food, it won't be him. You can rest assured now. She had kept this secret for so many years and had repeatedly brushed off Li Hongming. However, at this moment she easily revealed the truth. Li Hongming's face was full of shock. This. Back then, I personally saw the imperial noble consort die. I personally saw your imperial father cut open her belly. When your sixth brother was born, he didn't have the right to inherit the throne. As for the other things, no matter how much he obtained, it was only right. A large part of the reason why Ben Gong was able to obtain your imperial father's trust for so many years was because of the imperial noble consort and your sixth brother. As for the imperial noble consort's death, Ben Gong wants, Ming, when you ascend the throne, don't bother with your sixth brother. At that time you will be the ruler and he will be the subject. He won't cause trouble for you anymore. As for the matters of these years, compared to your other brothers, you didn't suffer any actual losses. Li Hongming was silent for a moment before he gradually digested Imperial Consort Su's words. Even if sixth brother is a devil, it's naturally inauspicious. Imperial father isn't afraid. Your imperial father is the true son of heaven and will naturally be protected by the heavens. Your sixth brother has no power or influence. He's just an idle prince who can't affect the fate of the country. Furthermore, the imperial noble consort is imperial father's favorite. Your sixth brother is the only thing she left behind, whether it's a person or an object. Furthermore, imperial consort Su paused. The imperial noble consort was personally killed by your imperial father. In summary, if Yuana was born before her death, you really wouldn't have a share of this country. You'd better be sensible. The news that imperial consort Su threw out one after another made Li Hongming a little confused. Imperial father killed the imperial noble consort. Regarding this, you don't need to know the specifics. It won't do you any good. In the future you just need to do your job well. You know your sixth brother's temper. If there's nothing, don't provoke him. As for the rest, as long as your imperial father isn't completely muddle-headed and sticks to his bottom line, no matter what he does to your sixth brother, you just need to keep silent. Li Hongming took 2 deep breaths. Although he wasn't afraid of people like the devils, it wasn't good to provoke Li Hongyuan. In the future, he would naturally stay far away from them. Imperial mother, imperial father is so good to sixth brother. Will sixth brother? It doesn't matter if he will or won't. Ambition is linked to the power in one's hands. Your sixth brother is living unscrupulously. Do you think he can't see clearly? The limitless sacred favor of the emperor could easily cause one to lose their way. If one couldn't see clearly, they wouldn't be who they were today. After all, having the favor and not having the authority was enough to drive a person completely crazy. Ming, in terms of intelligence, none of your brothers can compare to him. Moreover, Li Hongming didn't know what imperial consort Su's unfinished words were. However, his imperial mother had always been gentle and dignified. Other emotions might be shown when she was fighting with the concubines, but even then, it was mostly an act. Thus, it was really hard to detect when her true emotions were. However, at this moment his complexion was really not good. He knew that it was just like how imperial father killed the imperial noble consort. He shouldn't ask about the specifics. You should be able to feel at ease now. Imperial mother, Ken is ashamed. Li Hongming lowered his head with a bitter expression. Just don't be so suspicious. If there's nothing else, then go back. Imperial mother is tired. Imperial mother, rest well. Ken will take his leave. The only people who knew about what happened today were me and your father. Don't let a fourth person hear about it. If any rumors were to spread, it would definitely anger your father. After so many years, he has always felt guilty, but he is also deceiving himself, as if he has forgotten what he really did. If his wounds are opened again, the consequences are not something we can bear. Imperial mother, don't worry. Ken knows the severity of the matter. Oh. Li Hongming's mood suddenly brightened up like a June day. All along, the opponent he was most afraid of was not Prince Kong, but Li Hongyuan. Because imperial power was supreme, no matter how much power you had, you couldn't resist an imperial edict. Even if you could kill the emperor and usurp the throne, you would still be a traitor. You would be criticized by later generations if you didn't have a proper title. Now what he was worried about had never existed. Except for Li Hongyuan, who could compete with him in terms of the degree of favor. In addition, he had power in his hands. Ha ha! Li Hongming's smile was obvious. He almost looked up to the sky and laughed. Devil, these two words slipped from the tip of his tongue again and again. Ignoring Li Hongyuan's wanton arrogance, he became an inauspicious person in Li Hongming's eyes. A pitiful worm. Li Hongyuan didn't know Li Hongming's thoughts. If he knew, he would probably just sneer. Pitiful worm. What kind of expression would he have when he was stepped on by a pitiful worm like him in the future? For the sake of a so-called good reputation, he was timid. This thing was not even a fart in Li Hongyuan's eyes. Not to mention usurping the throne, even if the world was plunged into misery and suffering, he wouldn't bat an eyelid. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been a notorious tyrant in his previous life. The surrounding countries all shrank their heads and acted like cowards. Prince Rue returned to his own courtyard in a good mood. However, as soon as he entered the door, he was informed that concubine Ying had been making a racket and wanted to see him. To Li Hongming, Lu Jingying had lost her value. However, she still had a child in her belly. Although he didn't really care whether he had a son or not, having a child would still be more beneficial to him. At least no one would hold on to this point and not let it go. It wasn't like he was ascending the throne when he was still young. For adult princes like him, having an heir was also an important factor in whether or not they could ascend the throne. This was because the family valued inheritance, and the emperor was even more so. Li Hongming thought about it and decided to go see her. At least, he wanted her to know her place. If she kept making a ruckus, it would be annoying. Lu Jingying finally saw Li Hongming. Tears streamed down her face. She was very pitiful. "Your Highness." She even forgot the rules and threw herself into his arms, sobbing. Before, Li Hongming might have been patient enough to coax her. Now, his face was full of impatience. Because he felt the clothes on his chest were wet, he showed an extremely disgusted expression. "You're all dead. Why aren't you pulling her away from this prince?" Feeling Li Hongming's cold air before the servant girls could do anything, his personal attendant had already stepped forward and pulled Lu Jingying away from Li Hongming's body. Perhaps to prevent her from not letting go of his master, the personal attendant secretly used underhanded means to break her fingers. Lu Jingying cried out in pain. She felt that her fingers were about to break. Lu Jingying was probably used to being arrogant recently. She didn't even think before she threw a slap. "Lowly servant, you have big guts." Ever since he became Prince Rue's personal attendant, there were a lot of people who tried to curry favor with him. When Wang Fei spoke to him, she would always have a somewhat amiable expression. Other than when his own master lost his temper, it was probably only when he was kicked by Prince Jean. That living king of hell. No one could afford to offend him. Even if he was kicked, it would be in vain. Don't expect anyone to make a decision for him. But now, a little concubine slapped him. Resentment flashed through her eyes. With a bit of grievance, she quietly retreated behind Prince Rue. When you have value, you're a treasure. When you have no value, you're just a blade of grass. Li Hongming's face immediately darkened. He was a man who preferred gentle and chaste women. He didn't mind the occasional slow taste, but once he was tired, no matter what he did, it would be wrong. With a backhand slap, Lu Jingying was directly knocked to the ground. Lu Jingying covered her face. There were still traces of blood at the corner of her mouth. She didn't dare to look at Li Hongming. The man standing in front of her, he wasn't her husband, right? Clearly a few days ago, he was still hugging her and whispering sweet nothings into her ear. "Wang Ye, you hit me." Daring to address Wang Ye as you and I, Concubine Ing, please pay attention to your status. The personal attendant behind Prince Rui reminded. Li Hongming couldn't see it, but Lu Jingying could clearly see the disdain and malice in his eyes. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653223. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com mobile version reading website. Bicken. Chapter 201. Luo Jingying was completely stunned at this moment. Her mind went blank for a long time. She couldn't return to her senses and didn't get up. The servants also looked at her coldly. Not only did they not go forward to help her, they even retreated a little. Everyone could see that Concubine Ing had fallen out of favor. No matter if it was the servants who were sent to serve her early on or when she showed signs of pregnancy, they couldn't stand her temper. When the prince was around, she was obedient and charming. When the prince wasn't around, she was arrogant and domineering and didn't put anyone in her eyes. She was also unusually harsh to the people around her. She was generous when rewarding people, giving out gold and silver jewelry as if they didn't cost money. Unfortunately, she only had 2 or 3 people. Obviously, these people only had the sweetest mouths and were the best at flattering her. As the saying goes, don't worry about scarcity, but worry about inequality. Few people were rich, while many people were poor. How could she win people's hearts if she relied on her preferences? The sharp pain in her stomach made Luo Jingying come back to her senses. She hugged her stomach and cried out in pain, but still no one bowed to her. She had played tricks many times. When she was favored, they were still willing to surround her. But now, However, seeing that her complexion was indeed not right, the 2 mamas looked at each other. Hurry and help Shiqing up. As they spoke, they stepped forward to take her pulse. This time they were shocked. Hurry and call the manor doctor. This time the servants were really a little panicked. Even if Concubine Ing was no longer favored, she was still pregnant. Under the circumstances where the prince didn't have an heir, this child was very precious. It was fine to step on a concubine who had fallen out of favor, but stepping on a concubine who was pregnant and out of favor was a big problem. If something happened to the child, they would definitely be the ones to suffer. Luo Jingying was helped up and sent back to the room to be placed on the bed. Then, she found that there were bloodstains on her dress. Seeing this situation, everyone's heart jumped and they hurriedly notified the servants. The Fu doctor came quickly, followed by Princess Lu. Previously, Luo Jingying caused trouble, so the Fu doctor found that there was a slight change in the baby's energy, but it was not a big problem. How did you serve her? Everything was fine before. Princess Lu was very angry because she gave birth to the only 2 children in Prince Rui's mansion. Because of this, there were many rumors outside. They all said that she was playing tricks. Especially after the death of those concubines, she also hoped that Prince Rui's mansion could have more children, regardless of gender. Now, because of the special situation, it would take at least half a month before it could be announced to the public. Even the other 2 concubines in this courtyard didn't know, so naturally, they couldn't do anything with great fanfare. What happened? Hurry up and tell this princess. They couldn't bear the title of the main culprit, so they hurriedly explained the matter. Princess Lu was silent. When Prince Rui arrived, Princess Lu hesitated for a moment. Your Highness, Concubine Ying's health is very heavy now. Why don't we deal with it after she gives birth? Prince Rui furrowed his brows. Clearly, he knew that it was his fault for slapping the child just now. It was one thing to be annoyed by Luo Jingying, but the child was indeed his, and he still went to the bedroom. At the moment, Luo Jingying's face was pale and she was in a coma. She was moaning in a low voice, obviously enduring the pain. Perhaps because she sensed something, she opened her eyes. The moment she saw Prince Rue, she felt indescribably wronged. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Your Highness." In the end, she wasn't stupid enough to argue with Li Hongming at this time. Li Hongming sat down by the bed. When Luo Jingying reached out to hold his hand, he didn't shake it off. However, as Luo Jingying whined and complained about how abominable her third sister was, she accused Li Hongming of not helping her and even hitting her for a servant, etc. Li Hongming showed impatience. "If I knew you were so stupid, I wouldn't have wasted time on you." Until now, she still couldn't see her situation clearly. Her mind was only filled with love and affection. Her family was such a powerful backer, but she made a mess of it. Now he finally understood why Luo Peishan found an excuse to not let him directly take her as a concubine. It was obvious that he threw her to him as an abandoned person. If his status was high, it would be bad. Seeing him leave heartlessly again, Luo Jingying's hand was raised in the air as if she was struck by lightning. When Li Hongming was about to turn around the screen, she suddenly stood up and wanted to chase after him. Her current situation didn't allow her to run around. Naturally, she was pushed back by her nanny, who comforted her gently and asked her to put the child first. Prince Rui just said a few words to Princess Lu. Princess Lu squatted. "See you off, Your Highness." Even though she already knew what kind of person this man was, she couldn't help but feel cold in her heart. She looked at the bedroom again. After all, she was still a little girl who didn't know anything. She was naive and ignorant. Princess Lu stood for a while and then went in. Yesterday, she was arrogant in front of her with a face full of arrogance. Now she was like a withered flower. Maybe she was still worried about the child, so she didn't make trouble. Princess Lu waved the servants away and sat down by the bed. When she was in the Luo family, Jingwan was her #1 enemy. In Prince Rui's mansion, Princess Lu was her #1 enemy. With hatred and resentment in her eyes, she said, "Princess, are you very proud of me now?" Her words were sharp. Sure enough, besides love, there was also resentment that could cheer a person up. Princess Lu didn't get angry. She deliberately lowered her voice and murmured, "The most ruthless royal family is the royal family. Men in the royal family only have interests and power in their eyes. You are the granddaughter of the Minister of the Ministry of Official Personnel Affairs, which is your greatest value. You tore up all the cards. If you could get along well with the Luo family and make the Luo family think for you, he would probably not be stingy with his sweet words to coax you. Now that she was like this, she should put away her little temper and take care of the fetus. Even if she had no value, at least she would have a child." What the prince hated the most was the women in the inner courtyard making trouble. The prince's attitude is so obvious. Don't tell me that you still have fantasies about him. Princess, you are really good at instigating. Princess Lu looked at her quietly. It was obvious that she had believed most of it, but she still refused to admit it. Her body was trembling because of fear, but she was still so cowardly. How long could she live like this? Don't get excited. You still have a child. The child is your life-saving charm now. If you lose the child, after you entered Prince Rui's mansion, you offended a lot of people. Without the prince's support, you should know the situation you are facing. Don't tell me that you don't even know this. With the child, those people won't dare to go too far, and you won't be punished too much. Be careful. Don't be so naive. That's all I have to say." Princess Lu stood up. Luo Jingying suddenly grabbed her and asked, "Why?" They were enemies. Why would she be so kind to tell her these things? Why? Princess Lu didn't know why. Maybe it was because Luo Jingying reminded her of someone she once knew. She did everything for a man. She was like a moth darting into a flame. She could imagine her tragic end. Or maybe she thought that she still had a conscience and pretended to be a good person. Princess Lu pushed her hand away and said, "It seems that you won't give up so easily. The Luo family is your only chance to turn the tables. If you can ask your grandfather to help the prince will favor you more than before." In fact, what Princess Lu said was true. In just one day, she fell from the clouds to the mud. No one would be willing to accept it. Shouldn't be like this. Shouldn't be like this. He said that he liked her. Why was he so fickle? Or was he just lying to her? Was it really because of the Luo family? Luo Jingying was furious and resentful. However, the pain in her abdomen made her come back to her senses. She flattered the powerful and stepped on the weak. Therefore, nothing could happen to the child. Absolutely nothing. Come on, bring the medicine. Bring the medicine. Princess Lu walked out of Luo Jingying's yard. She paused for a moment and turned to Li Hongming's study. Li Hongming was practicing calligraphy. Princess Lu knew Li Hongming's mood very well because they had been married for many years. Although he was upset today, he was in a good mood, especially after he came back from outside. Greetings to the prince. Princess Lu, you are here. Li Hongming put down his brush and reached out his hand to her. Princess Lu took the opportunity to hold his hand and snuggled into his arms. She looked at the calligraphy on the table. It seemed that he was in a good mood. Without guessing why, she just smiled and said, "Your handwriting is getting better and better, Your Highness." Li Hongming also chuckled. This was rare for him in his own territory. Is there anything wrong? Concubine Ing will be fine. Don't worry, Your Highness. Princess Lu, you can deal with these trivial matters. Believe in you. Li Hongming said casually. After all, she has just been married. She is arrogant and willful. She will gradually become better. Please be more tolerant of her. Princess Lu, you are so kind. Li Hongming said ambiguously. Princess Lu and I should have a son. As he said this, he directly carried Princess Lu and walked to the inner room of the study. Princess Lu exclaimed in a small voice. Then she pouted coquettishly, which made Li Hongming laugh. Princess Lu was once again sure that her prince was in a good mood. He would not do this kind of thing usually. Great Elder Princess invited Jingwan to stay until the evening. Jingwan was really in line with her fantasy of a daughter. Her biological daughter could never reach the height of Jingwan. Therefore, she was very good to Jingwan. She even asked her youngest daughter, Wangzhu Yuyao, to learn more from Jingwan. Jingwan blushed with shame. She didn't know how an ignorant and incompetent person like her had become someone else's child. Fortunately, there was a large age gap between her and Wangzhu Yuyao. Wangzhu Yuyao wasn't a sensitive and naive child, and she really liked her. Otherwise, if she heard her mother say such things, her heart might become twisted and dark. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653225. HTML. Click here to report. Registration is free. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Bicken.com mobile version website. Bicken. Chapter 202. As expected, when Jingwan left Great Elder Princess's courtyard, she took away a lot of good things. However, it was impossible to refuse these things because Great Elder Princess would not take them back just because she said no. Every time she did this, she was ignored and mercilessly driven away by Great Elder Princess, and this time was no exception. But just now, Jingwan pulled Wangzhu Yuyao and said with a smile, "Yuyao, my foster mother gave me all the good things, and you have no dowry in the future. So, little girl, quickly stop your mother." Wangzhu Yuyao smiled innocently. "It doesn't matter. Have no dowry. Sister, you can prepare a dowry for me in the future. My sixth cousin is very rich. When you become my sixth cousin's wife, I will definitely double the money." Even Great Elder Princess was a little surprised, let alone Jingwan. Great Elder Princess frowned slightly at first. If others knew it, they would think that she was coveting Prince Jin's things, and now she was nice to Jingwan. She was Great Elder Princess. Even if she was not as rich as her sixth nephew, she was much better than other princes and nobles in the capital. After all, she had a good relationship with the emperor. She had rich fields and shops and a lot of rewards every year. Not to mention that she only had one legitimate daughter. Even if she had 8 or 10 more daughters, she would definitely get married in a grand way. Yu Yao, who did you hear these words from? My father told me. Yu Yao betrayed her father without any hesitation. Great elder princess naturally knew what kind of person her husband was, and he would not say such words to Yu Yao for no reason. Great elder princess looked at Jingwan and said helplessly, "Your adoptive father is an idiot." Jingwan smiled. Even if he was her adoptive father, he was still a stranger to her, so she didn't know how to respond. However, although Prince Consort Jiang didn't like the affairs of the imperial court like her father, he was not picky in dealing with people. There should be a reason why he talked to Yu Yao like this. If Yu Yao made a scene because great elder princess was kind to her, it would make everyone embarrassed. If someone said something to Yu Yao and let him know, it was very likely that he comforted Yu Yao with these words. In Great Elder Princess's mansion, Great Elder Princess held all the power. However, as far as Jingwan could see, although the gifts used by her daughters-in-law were good, they were not as good as those given to her. Therefore, it was natural that they did not like Jingwan. It was useless to complain to their own husbands, but it was very possible to incite Yu Yao. Jingwan reached out and pinched Yu Yao's face. You're really clever. Okay, I'll prepare your dowry in the future. Although it's not as good as your mother's, it's not a problem to add a few % to your dowry. I'm sure our Yu Yao will be glorious. I don't want your dowry. I want 6th cousins. Okay. Jingwan was overjoyed. How old are you? You're so shameless to think about dowry. Great Elder Princess also felt funny. Yu Yao stuck out her tongue at Great Elder Princess in disdain. What Jingwan could think of, Great Elder Princess could also think of. After Jingwan left, she would definitely ask about it carefully. Great Elder Princess had always pampered her daughter and brought up her son. She was dissatisfied with all her daughters who had been married off. Now she loved her youngest legitimate daughter the most. How dare Jingwan instigate Great Elder Princess in her ears? When Jingwan saw these things, she also felt helpless. However, Great Elder Princess just wanted to protect her, so she couldn't really refuse her coldly. Therefore, if some people were unhappy, she could only continue to be unhappy. The next day, Jingwan received more invitations, which were basically sent by the girls in the boudoir. After staying in the summer palace for a few days, almost all of them had settled down. Naturally, all kinds of banquets began again. In summer there were very few banquets. However, the summer palace was much cooler than the capital city. It was really boring, so they naturally had to find something to do. Jingwan read several invitations. It seemed that they had discussed it, and the dates didn't overlap. Jingwan thought that this might be a tacit understanding formed in the early years. After all, the summer holidays were almost at this time every year. At that time, they would set the dates of their banquets. If there were some deletions or additions, they would probably make adjustments again. To return the favor, Jingwan felt that she should also hold a banquet. However, she needed to think about the exact time and ask her sister-in-law about it. She would go out to attend 2 more banquets. It was better to follow a first-come first-served basis. Since someone had already set the time, there was no reason to force them to change it. Therefore, Jingwan turned to Sun Yijia. Sun Yijia's pregnancy had stabilized, but everyone was worried about her. She also planned to take more time to recover. Sun Yijia browsed through the invitations. Nominally, these invitations were set up by those unmarried girls. In fact, sometimes their mothers and grandmothers also sent some invitations. In the past, the banquet of the Minister of Official Personnel Affairs was set on June 20th. Now that grandfather is the Minister of Official Personnel Affairs, you can set the date on that day. With your current status, no one will be blind enough to go against you and fight for that day's time. With the Ruan family's current situation, they will definitely not hold a banquet. Furthermore, in the past few years, there were usually 2 cabinet elders who came to the summer palace. This year there is 1 less cabinet elder, and there is 1 day left. If someone wants to fight for it, they will probably fight for 3 days. After all, although there is no rule that the time is arranged according to the status of each family, there are some people who think so. The closer they are to the front, the more they feel honored. Toward the end, Sun Ijia said with some indifference. Jingwon could roughly understand her thoughts. Based on her cold personality towards outsiders, she really didn't care about this kind of thing. Sister-in-law, did you send invitations here as well? Of course. Although it's not as valuable as before, I still want to save face. Moreover, the 3 of you are becoming more and more famous now. It's impossible for you to stop even if you want to. Look, you went out early this morning. You should know that this is all thanks to little sister Wan. Sun Ijia said with a hint of ridicule. It's because my 3rd brother is a genius. Jingwon said righteously. Those who didn't know would think that Jingwon was proud of her brother. Sun Ijia knew the inside story. She reached out and pinched Jingwon's face. She laughed and said, "You're getting more and more shameless. No one else would praise themselves as a genius." Jingwon slapped her hand away. "It's true. Yes. Genius." In fact, Sister Wan was indeed worthy of this title. Jingwon wanted to play the zither again to give Sun Ijia's baby prenatal education. After she played 2 songs, Sun Ijia couldn't bear it anymore. She pushed her aside and played the zither herself. Jingwon didn't feel embarrassed. However, Sun Ijia didn't play for long. Just as Jingwon was about to leave, Sun Ijia handed her a small locked box and said in a low voice, "Sister Wan, you can go back and look at this by yourself. Don't worry and keep it. Don't think about rejecting it now. After you go back and look at it, don't think about returning it. If it's for you, it's for you." Jingwon naturally didn't want it. However, judging from Sun Ijia's expression, she really couldn't take it back. "Alright, I'll keep it. Sister-in-law, you won't harm me. I, Sun Ijia, have harmed anyone in my life, but it's impossible for me to harm you, little sister Wan. Could be said that you gave me a new life. If I harm you, I should be struck by lightning." Sun Ijia's voice was soft and slow, but it was unusually solemn. Jingwon was stunned. Then she smiled and said, "So serious. I'll keep it well." As she spoke, she shook the small box in her hand. There was a slight clanging sound inside. It seemed that the thing inside was quite solid. After Jingwon went back, she knew that her sister-in-law must have her reasons for telling her to keep it well. She dismissed the servants and then took out the key to open the small box. She took out the brocade pouch inside. It was a silent shape. Should be a token. Jingwon's heart inexplicably beat a little faster. Whether it was in her previous life or in this life, she had never come into contact with something like this. However, she had seen similar things on television. Generally, as long as it was related, it was something that could take one's life. Jingwon opened the brocade pouch and took out the item. Very good. It was impossible to pretend that she didn't know the significance of this item. Then, she thought of her sister-in-law's words. She could only keep it with ease. If she really sent it back and used it as an excuse, it would really attract other people's attention. After keeping the item, Jingwon decided to ask her grandfather how much authority this thing had. Luo Peishan was sitting under the shade of a tree. A servant was fanning him. He was especially serious as he flipped through a book. Jingwon walked closer. Grandfather really doesn't do proper work. Even if he has free time, he should read proper books. Luo Peishan glanced at her in annoyance. This indecent book was also made by you. Jingwon unruly bowed. She took the servant's fan with a grin and sat beside Luo Peishan. It's not a big deal that granddaughter doesn't do proper work. But grandfather, you're different. One nose and 2 eyes. How am I different? Jingwon chuckled. When she was in Qi and prefecture, why did she feel that her grandfather was serious and unapproachable? Why did she feel that he was a standard scholar official? Sure enough, people couldn't judge others based on their own opinion. "Grandfather, I want to ask you something." Luo Peishan glanced at her. Just as he was about to speak, he saw her glance at her servant. Thus, he understood tacitly and sent him away. "Peek. What is it?" "Grandfather, how much do you know about the death exemption gold medallion?" Luo Peishan paused. His expression was slightly cold. But in the blink of an eye, he restrained the expression on his face. His eyes fell on the book again and he spoke casually. Obviously, Luo Peishan didn't know as much as old Madam Sunday. At least, he didn't know that there was only one death-free gold medallion left. He only said what needed to be said and didn't ask anything else. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653228. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is free. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com mobile version reading website. Bicken. Chapter 203. Jingwan was different from the past. Even if there was a banquet hosted by a princess, no one would find fault with her. On the contrary, there was a group of people who complimented her. Even if she was not good at poetry, music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, even if she just sat quietly and acted like a little foodie, some people would still praise her. In fact, they were not simply circling around Jingwan. The various new skincare creams from Rouge Pavilion were a little expensive, but other than those exclusive sets, the rest were nothing to them. They did not feel any pressure to use them. Originally, no one would have investigated who made these creams. However, the Luo family had special privileges. Even if they were married, they would have enough preferential shares to use every month. Moreover, Jingwan herself was a moving living signboard. There would be a time when she would be noticed. Until now, these upper-class noble ladies basically knew that these creams were made by her. It was a matter of course. There had been no suitable opportunity before. Now was indeed the best time. As long as they were girls who liked to look beautiful, it was not surprising that they would look for Jingwan. Because these people knew their limits, Jingwan was also happy to tell them some skincare tips. As for whether there would be people who were greedy and thought that she did not tell the real secret, it had nothing to do with her. She was not obligated to do so. At most, these people would say a few words in private. They really did not dare to offend her in public. Therefore, it was quite good to have a big backer. Jingwan felt that as time passed, she would most likely fall. Because of such a relatively relaxed atmosphere, Jingwan even attended the banquets every day. When her biggest backer attacked her at night again, Jingwan was basically calm and collected. Seeing that a certain someone was simply hugging her to sleep, Jingwan even had the leisure to joke with him. For example, Yu Yao wanted to ask him for a dowry or something. Li Hongyuan only responded faintly. He would send it to her tomorrow. Jingwan just thought that he was joking. However, the next day, Jingwan didn't go to the banquet because she was called by Great Elder Princess. No one dared to say anything in front of Great Elder Princess. Great Elder Princess ignored them. Jingwan looked at the things placed in front of her. There were a total of 10 things. 2 coral trees that were about half a person's height, a jade bottle that was more than a foot tall, a box of golden pink pearls that were soft and flawless, and a box of high-quality gems. The rough estimate of these things should be, well, because things are precious when they are rare, they are not easy to measure. In some people's eyes they might be priceless, and in some people's eyes they might be worthless. However, there is no doubt that these are the treasures of treasures. Mother, these things are. Great Elder Princess looked at her meaningfully and said with a smile, Hongyuan sent someone to send it here. Jingwan's heart skipped a beat, but her expression didn't change. Is he? They are for Yu Yao, great elder princess continued. Isn't it normal for a cousin to give something to his cousin? Jing Wan chuckled. Whether they are biological sisters, cousins, Hong Yuan has only sent something to Princess Min Xiang. This time, he sent so many valuable things to Yu Yao and specified that they are her dowry. Great elder princess looked at Jingwan with a faint smile, which made Jingwan's scalp tingle. She didn't even know how to respond. If a cousin wants to add to his sister's dowry, he'll have to wait until she gets married. There are still many years to go. The crux of the problem is that he's not delivering the dowry as a cousin, but as a brother-in-law. 1. Help foster mother analyze the situation. Even though Jingwan was thick-skinned, she couldn't bear great elder princess's gaze and her face was slightly hot. How can daughter guess what His Highness's intention is? But since it's been sent here, adoptive mother will help Yu Yao keep it. Great elder princess nodded seriously and said, well, since Wan asked me to keep them, I'll keep them for Yu Yao. It had nothing to do with her. She didn't want Yu Yao to do as she said. No problem. Well, if she hadn't said something wrong last night, she wouldn't have been laughed at today. However, he still made a mental note to Li Hongyuan. Although he made a mental note, he didn't know if there would be a day when he could settle the score with Li Hongyuan. Fortunately, great elder princess didn't ask her when she said something to Prince Jin. Jingwan didn't want to lie to great elder princess, who had also treated her as a family member. However, how could she tell her that her fiancé attacked her at night? Yu Yao had no concept of other things, but children seemed to be born with no resistance to bright round pearls and the like. Therefore, she coveted that box of pearls. After knowing that it was hers, she hugged it and refused to let go. Pearls were relatively common. Of course, high-quality pearls were rare and only a few people had access to them. White and pink pearls were more suitable for children. Gold pearls were noble and didn't match with children. But this box of pearls was gold and pink. Gold was not heavy, so it was okay for Yu Yao to use it now. The little girl already knew how to be beautiful. She clung to her mother and talked about what she wanted to use the pearls for. She wanted beads, earrings, bracelets, necklaces, all of them. Great elder princess seemed to be helpless, but her eyebrows relaxed and her eyes were smiling. It could be seen that she really doted on Yu Yao. However, as the youngest legitimate daughter of great elder princess, she was born to be doted on. In particular, this princess didn't have an empty title like most princesses. She didn't get along well with her family and was not favored by the emperor. By the time it was June 20th, Jingwan's invitation had already been sent out. However, because old Madame Luo did not intend to interfere, she only invited unmarried young ladies to the banquet. The number of princesses and princesses was not small. Could not be helped. More than half of the people who followed the emperor to escape the summer heat were people with the surname Li. During this period of time, although she couldn't see them every day, she got to know them day by day, so she didn't feel any pressure to deal with them. The most difficult one to please should be Princess Min Xiang, who had the highest status and was Jingwan's future sister-in-law. If she wanted to make trouble, she could only endure most of the time. However, Princess Min Xiang was really afraid of Li Hongyuan. She wouldn't do anything that might offend him. Moreover, her mother, noble consort Su, also told her to get along well with her future sister-in-law. In fact, regardless of other things, basically not many people would reject Jingwan just by getting along with her. After all, Jingwan was very young in mind. These teenage girls were all treated as younger sisters. As long as they were not naughty children, she would be tolerant and considerate enough. In this way, they had no reason to dislike her. Although the purpose was to enjoy the flowers, in fact, Jingwan didn't prepare much flowers. Instead, she prepared a lot of food, various kinds of juice, and some ingenious little games. To put it bluntly, she prepared to let these children eat, drink, and have fun. She wanted to be the king of children. At the beginning, Jingwan only took the younger girls, such as Yu Yao and those who were about the same age as her. The others were more reserved, especially those girls who had just started to talk about marriage. Perhaps some people despised her in their hearts and thought that she was unruly and improper. However, as time went by, seeing that they really had fun, she seemed to have never been so carefree since she was a child. Moreover, at this time everyone was the same. If they had fun, they would have fun. Probably no one would go out and say anything. Even those who took etiquette nannies with them were not criticized. Forget it, she would just drag her good sisters down with her. As for those who were really reserved and couldn't let go, Jingwon also prepared some elegant games that didn't require much movement, such as crossword puzzles. Because there were changes, it naturally wouldn't be boring. Then, there was the game of finding things according to the clues. The final thing would often be unexpected. Therefore, the girls who had never played these games couldn't help but want to play. And the final result was probably that they all went crazy from playing. Jingwon and the others were having fun here, but they didn't know that an urgent report was sent from the capital. Some areas in the south had continuous rain. Some experienced people said that the area would inevitably expand, and there would be a flood. Because Lee Hongyuan had been paying attention to it for a long time, he naturally received the news. In her previous life, it didn't happen so early. Lee Hongyuan thought that he could change people, but he couldn't change the sky. In her previous life, it happened late, which could only mean that the report was late. In the end, it caused such a big disaster. Some people had already been replaced by Lee Hongyuan, so the same thing naturally wouldn't happen again. When Lu Chengdi received the news, he immediately gathered all the officials and sons. This kind of thing couldn't be neglected. If there really was a big flood, the consequences would be very serious. Although it hadn't happened yet, it was better to believe it than not. If they were prepared, there wouldn't be any losses even if they couldn't use it. And if they could use it, the losses would naturally be much lower. In this point, Lu Chengdi could definitely be called a wise emperor. And Li Hongyuan's time had come. My beloved officials, put your heads together and come up with a feasible solution as soon as possible. Don't say that you have groundless fears. I also hope that in the end, it will be groundless fears. Also, don't take things too simply and don't take it seriously. I want you to consider this matter in the worst possible way. Since Lu Chengdi had said so, the others naturally didn't dare to neglect. However, the Grand Secretary Ruan Ruizhong didn't stand for long and felt dizzy and weak in the knees. They hurriedly asked him to sit down, but there was no improvement. His complexion was particularly bad. Lu Chengdi hurriedly ordered someone to call the imperial physician. Ruan Ruizhong was suffering from heatstroke. Lu Chengdi's residence was located at the top of the mountain, which was the coolest place in the entire palace. In addition, there were many ice basins, so one could even feel the obvious coolness. But in the end, he was suffering from heatstroke. According to the imperial physician's explanation, Ruan Ruizhong was old and weak. When he went up the mountain, he was in a hurry and sweated. When he came here, it was suddenly cool and he couldn't stand it. Seeing him like this, Lu Chengdi frowned and finally sighed in his heart. He was indeed old. He waved his hand and asked someone to send him back. It was a busy time now, so it was troublesome to see Ruan Ruizhong's half-dead appearance. Ruan Ruizhong felt ashamed and hurriedly apologized. Speaking of which, it had been relatively peaceful for half a month. Everyone in the family closed their doors and he didn't hear any gossip. He only felt that it was as peaceful as before and his body seemed to be much more relaxed. He didn't expect that there would be a problem at this time. Was he really old? If he still stayed in the position of Grand Secretary like this, wouldn't it annoy the emperor? But it was indeed not a good time for him to resign. So he could only be thick-skinned and wait for the emperor to let him resign. Prince Rue watched Ruan Ruizhong being supported by people. Ruan Ruizhong's back was hunched and he left step by step. His mother was right. Ruan Ruizhong was really dying. He withdrew his gaze and focused on the current matter. Of course, no one would inform Li Hongyuan of such an important matter. At this time, he was living in a courtyard outside the palace again. He wasn't as leisurely as others thought. He was looking at the geomancy map. The information he received was far more detailed than Luchingdi's. He found the reported locations on the geomancy map bit by bit and calculated the range of the rainfall. After all, it had been too long in his previous life. He couldn't remember many things so clearly. Moreover, what he knew was limited. He frowned slightly and circled the locations of the granaries and important dams. Finally, he was 100% sure that the situation this time would be much better than in his previous life. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. However, he still needed to find Luo Peishan for the specifics. There were many things that he needed to say. Master, Grand Secretary has gone back. How is the Ruan family? https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653229. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com mobile edition website. Bicken. Chapter 204. Li Hongyuan was non-committal. The flood in the south was the most important thing. Ruan Ruizhong had been muddle-headed for 10 or 20 years. He should be helped to wake him up. As for whether he would be unable to recover from the setback or even die, or survive and have a great change in temperament. If he was still young, the latter was more likely. Unfortunately, he was already old. Perhaps the scene would be too exciting and he would not be able to catch his breath. However, if he could pull through, Li Hongyuan would probably admire him. That would also mean that he would be oppressed by him for a few more years. Grind. Li Hongyuan was not interested in the things over there. He should tidy up the things that should be sorted out. Eunuch Mu hurriedly stepped forward and began to grind swiftly. It must be said that grinding could be considered his specialty when serving Li Hongyuan. He was fast and good. After he was done, he gently stepped back. Li Hongyuan spread out a booklet in the shape of a booklet and thought for a while. Then he picked up a pen and wrote very quickly. The words were like his person. The strokes were vigorous and powerful. However, ordinary people might not understand. Even if they were scholars, unless they liked it very much, they probably didn't study cursive. Luo Peishan was different. He had passed the imperial examination for decades and had a lot of time to study things other than the imperial examination. If he couldn't understand, Li Hongyuan would probably throw 4 words at him. You have an undeserved reputation. It was said that a focused man was the most charming. Li Hongyuan was a handsome man. Perhaps because his marriage with Jingwan had been settled. He rarely had a gloomy aura. His eyes were handsome, and his expression was focused with confidence. Few people could not resist him. If Jingwan was present, she might be tempted at this moment. He wrote 2 or 3 pages in a row. Be careful. Be careful in case the woman of the Ruan family silences him. Ruan Ruizhong could not stand it and die, but he couldn't be killed. That would be too boring. Yes. In fact, there was no need for him to remind them. His subordinates would have considered this point. It had been a long time since they had done something for the first time. They had more or less figured out the extent to which they had to do to satisfy their master. Ruan Ruizhong was sent home because of his mental and physical exhaustion. Originally, Luchengdi's people wanted to send him to Madame Ruan, but Ruan Ruizhong refused. When he found out what his own backyard was like, he was very glad that he refused at this time. Otherwise he would really lose face. It was quite strange for Rue to enter the house in such a state. In the past, when he returned home, even if his wife did not personally welcome him, she would arrange for someone to take good care of him. Now he had been sitting in the hall for a while, but no one came to serve him. There was not even a sip of tea. He was already feeling unwell, so it was inevitable that he would feel unhappy. Knowing the current situation of the Ruan clan, Zhang Xian stood up and headed to the rear courtyard. The The servants he met along the way were the same as usual. When they saw him, they saluted him politely. However, when they were approaching the main courtyard where the couple lived, they saw a maidservant running out in a panic. When she saw Ruan Ruizhong, her expression was as if she had seen a ghost. The first thing she did was not salute, but turn around and run away. She did not have the least bit of etiquette. Ruan Ruizhong's face darkened. Anyone who saw it knew that something must have happened. Although he did not know what it was, the way to deal with this kind of situation was almost the same. Go and stop her. Ruan Ruizhong's manservant obeyed the order and hurried to catch up. An ordinary servant girl in her teens could not be faster than a man who was a few years older than her. She was quickly caught up and then pulled back. The young maidservant knelt in front of Ruan Ruizhong, trembling and crying miserably. She kept kowtowing. Master, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, please don't beat me to death, I beg you, I beg you. What did you see? What did you hear? Say it clearly. Ruan Ruizhong said sternly. The servant girl seemed to realize that she had said something wrong. She glanced at Ruan Ruizhong in fear and quickly lowered her head. She knelt on the ground and trembled. No matter what, she refused to say a word. Ruan Ruizhong kicked her away. Keep an eye on her. He went straight to the main courtyard. He wanted to see what kind of shameful things this family, or his stepwife, was hiding from him. Obviously, when Ruan Ruizhong entered the courtyard, he found that something was wrong. Usually, there were old maids guarding the gate of the courtyard. When he entered, he could see the servants performing their duties. But the gate of the courtyard was half open, and he didn't see anyone. Ruan Ruizhong subconsciously lightened his footsteps and did not push the half-closed door. After entering, he wanted to go into the room. However, he vaguely heard a sound. Following the sound, he found that it came from the pavilion in the courtyard. There was a curtain outside the pavilion. Under normal circumstances it was down, but now it was down. A few days ago, it was his wife and daughter who accompanied him to admire the moon. Now, there was a woman's delicate panting and a man's rough panting. Moreover, there was more than one man. One of the men was obviously swearing, but the woman did not seem to be humiliated. Instead, she was more aroused and urged him. In exchange, another man's lewd laughter was accompanied by the sound of a palm slapping a certain place. No matter how embarrassing the voices were, Ruan Ruizhong knew who the three voices belonged to. It was his stepwife and his two sons. As if struck by lightning, Ruan Ruizhong stood rooted to the ground with a blank expression on his face. Look at your hungry face. How long has it been since I fed you? But even if you do it, can you satisfy me? The woman did not speak, but she snorted obviously. Actually, I want to know whose child is Fengfei. Father, one of our brothers, or some wild man outside? That's right, that's right. Tell us, whose child is she? Ruan Ruizhong's heart was much colder than the winter. It was so cold that his blood almost stopped flowing. Why do you care who she is? Nominally, she is your sister. Do you want to touch her as well? The woman said. In exchange, the two men laughed ambiguously. The daughter you taught must be the same as you. Ruan Ruizhong clutched the clothes on his chest tightly. His heart seemed to be fiercely pinched, as if he was about to suffocate. He gasped for breath as if he would pass out in the next moment. At this time, a gust of wind caused the curtains around the pavilion to open a gap. That unsightly scene directly crashed into the depths of Ruan Ruizhong's eyes. His dignified and virtuous wife. He still remembered her shyness on the night of their wedding. From that night onwards, every time they got married, she would be abnormally reserved. Sometimes he wanted to do something, but he was afraid that he would offend her. As time passed, he began to enjoy the warmth of their relationship more and more. But now she was so unrestrained. His two sons, even if they were not that outstanding, he was still quite satisfied. They were calm and steady, gentle and polite. If there were no accidents in the family, when he retired, even if he could not become an official, he thought that the family would be harmonious. But now they were like two beasts. He thought that the family was harmonious, and he thought that no one could compare to his wife and children. In the end, this family was a den of prostitution. His wife and children were all beasts. Pooh! Ruan Ruizhong could not bear it anymore and directly spat out a mouthful of blood. This scene happened to be seen by one of his sons. His pupils rapidly shrank and suddenly withered, as if he was scared silly. "Father!" was like a whisper. When the brother opposite him heard this, his body trembled. "What nonsense are you shouting?" As for Madame Ruan, she was skilled in martial arts. But because of her absolute trust in the people around her, coupled with the ups and downs of the Sea of Desire, she was only vaguely aware of the strangeness outside. When she heard the word father, she instantly recovered a lot. Just as she was about to get up, the person behind her suddenly pulled away and rushed out. "Father!" It was accompanied by fear. No matter how deep he had sunk, he was now awake. Madame Ruan sat up with a whoosh, her expression stern. The man beside her was scared pale. Ruan Ruizhong, who had spat out blood, slowly fell down. But his eyes were filled with bone-piercing pain and bloodthirsty hatred. He was a scholar. He had the strength and bearing of a scholar. He was capable of doing things. Under normal circumstances, he was amiable. He had probably never shown such an expression in his life. So much so that the man who ran out wearing only a piece of underwear hesitated, not daring to go forward. Old master." The manservant who was in charge of guarding the young maidservant had somehow come in. Seeing the situation, he practically scrambled over to catch Ruan Ruizhong, who was about to fall to the ground. Master. As he pinched Ruan Ruizhong's philtrum, he took advantage of the cover to give Ruan Ruizhong a pill. Ruan Ruizhong's eyes were still open, but he was still staring at the pavilion. That appearance was as if he had died with his eyes open. His son was trembling in fear. The ugly thing under him drooped. Such an ugly appearance. Where was the modesty of a gentleman? Being stared at like that. His legs went soft and he knelt on the ground with a bang. As for the other two people in the pavilion, they tidied up their clothes and came out. Compared to the two men who were trembling in fear, Madame Ruan was much calmer. Although she was frowning, the focus was not on the fact that her husband had caught her in the act. She looked at Ruan Ruizhong indifferently. "How did you come in?" Had been so many years. Although she had never encountered this old thing coming back when he was not supposed to, even if she did, she would be able to know at the first moment. She would be able to pack up at the fastest speed so that he would not be able to detect the slightest clue. It was reasonable to say that today should be the same. However, not only did Ruan Ruizhong break in, she did not receive any news at all. Because she was absolutely relieved, she let down her guard. So much so that she did not even know how long Ruan Ruizhong had been here. Ruan Ruizhong's eyes widened. His finger trembled as he pointed at his stepwife. You. She was caught doing such an unbearable thing, but there was no fear, no guilt, let alone repentance. It looked as if it was impossible for him to break in. The rise and fall of his chest became more obvious. Master, nothing can happen to you. If something happens to you, wouldn't it benefit these adulterous men and women? This bitch wants to anger you. If you die, no one will know about their scandal. In the future, the Ruan family will be completely controlled by her. So you must hold on. You must hold on, master. Madame Ruan's gaze fell on the servant. Even if this servant was not one of her people, he usually gave her some information about Ruan Ruizhong's affairs outside. With the courage of a normal person, he should avoid this kind of thing. But now he said such words. It would be strange if there was no problem. Madame Ruan was not in a hurry to deal with him. Instead, she looked around and did not see anything. However, the people who were supposed to be guarding outside did not appear. Madame Ruan suddenly smiled. She was very clear that she had fallen into a trap. This time it was not her daughter who did anything but her. And it was so ruthless. How many of her people did not know? That's right. In her opinion, being caught in the act by Ruan Ruizhong was not a big deal. If he did not know, there were ways to deal with it. If he knew, there were also ways to deal with it. Although relying on Ruan Ruizhong was beneficial, there were also disadvantages in the future. Her actions would be restricted. If he knew, the worst-case scenario was to kill him. The manservant's words seemed to have worked. Ruan Ruizhong took a deep breath and slowly stood up with the help of the manservant. He walked forward step by step. He used to care for this woman as much as he loved her. Now he hated her as much as he felt pain. He swung his hand and slapped her. T, I've been so good to you, so good to you. Madame Ruan's head only tilted a little. The current Ruan Ruizhong was almost half dead. How much strength could his hand have? For her, it was not painful at all. When I married you, you were already so old. I was still young and beautiful. Shouldn't you be good to me? Your body is not strong and not strong. Every time you are not interested, you are done. Isn't it normal for me to wear a green hat? You have many sons, so you don't have to look outside. Now your sons are almost useless. Your grandchildren can be found. They are young enough and there are many of them. Pa! Ruan Ruizhong was so angry that he slapped her again. You lewd woman, lewd woman. Madame Ruan sneered. She had been afraid of breaking the vases before. Now she was a turtle in a jar. What else did she have to care about? The person hiding in the dark really knew everything about her. Then she was almost certain that she would not die. Her value alive was far greater than death. So she was now fearless. However, the other party did not make a move. Once he made a move, it was like a thunderbolt. This method was really likable. Moreover, everything was clearly under his control, but she did not notice it at all. This ability was really admirable. Ruan Ruizhong, you can only scold me now. Other than that, what else can you do? Your life has been smooth sailing and you think you are infallible. What ability do you have outside? You don't even know what your own backyard is like. You were smart your whole life but also stupid your whole life. How does it feel to lose your integrity in your later years? If I didn't believe you. That's why I said you think you are infallible, stupid. If you didn't disguise yourself so well. Madame Ruan sneered. A 16-year-old girl married an old man like you. Would she treat the nest of children who are much older than her as her own? Consider it in all aspects. Do you think you are the emperor? How shameless do you think you are? You actually did not doubt it and wholeheartedly believed it. Then, you deserve to be played in the palm of your hand. You only have yourself to blame. Ruan Ruizhong was trembling with anger, but he could not say a word to refute. Bitch, this old man wants you to die a horrible death, a horrible death. Whether I die or not, I'm afraid it is not up to you to decide. You have to ask the person behind you first. What do you mean? What do I mean? For 10 or 20 years it was hidden. Suddenly it was discovered by you. No one got rid of the gatekeeper. How could you come in? Madame Ruan now seemed to have a broken jar and did not care at all. However, until the end no one knew what the result would be. As long as she was alive there was hope. If she was dead then it was all over. Ruan Ruizhong's first reaction was not anything else. His family's biggest scandal was known by an outsider. And as the head of the family, he actually needed an outsider's help to find out. How many people had laughed at him? Who is it? His old face was terrifyingly gloomy, as if he wanted to tear the other person into pieces. He seemed to be in better spirits than before. He really valued face more than the sky. What can you do if you know? Even if it was your past glory, I'm afraid you did not have the qualifications to make anyone shut up, not to mention the current you. What's more, I don't know. Madame Ruan was no longer gentle and considerate towards Ruan Ruizhong. Instead, she raised her chin slightly and looked at him with disdain. Ruan Ruizhong really wanted to strangle her to death. Unable to bear it, he slapped her again. Sure enough, hatred could also support a person's spirit. This slap was heavier than the previous one. It was the best proof. You can also get angry at me. However, if you dare to hit me again, don't blame me for being impolite. There was a limit to her patience. The reason why she did not resist was because she wanted to keep a trump card. After all, she had never used martial arts outside. What if the other party did not know? Perhaps in the future she could catch him off guard. Not to mention other things, it would be good if she could escape. Sure enough, when Ruan Ruizhong reached out again, she grabbed his wrist and threw it away. If Ruan Ruizhong was not supported, he probably would have staggered. It was said that a woman had 3 obediences and 4 virtues, and treated her husband as her sky. He had never seen a woman who had committed a heinous crime still be so insolent. Ruan Ruizhong's eyes were about to split open. Wei sure, I can't do anything to others but your Wei clan. Madame Ruan, no, it might be more appropriate to call her Wei sure now. She laughed mockingly. Wei sure, do as you wish. She turned around and kicked the man kneeling on the ground. It seemed like a casual kick, but it was enough to make people feel heart-wrenching pain. Wait until the person behind you comes and tells you how to deal with me. Then come again. He watched helplessly as she entered the room and closed the door, but he could not do anything to her. He cared about his family, his reputation, and his face. However, when he met someone who did not care about these things, the one who was afraid of taking action became her. That woman had nothing to fear, but the 2 in front of him were his sons. He was old, but the dignity of a superior was still there. The other one was so scared that he immediately knelt on the ground. Wei Shi's reaction and words had greatly surprised them. However, they did not have the courage. This was their father. Even if he really beat them to death, they would not dare to do anything. However, this did not prevent them from begging for mercy. Father, son knows his mistake. Please calm down. Don't be angry and harm your body. Father, it's all because of that bitch who seduced son. Otherwise, son would not dare to offend stepmother even if you gave son 100 guts. It's all because of her that our family became like this. Think about it, when mother was still here, our family was so good. Ruan Ruizhong paused. Thinking of his first wife, he felt sad for a moment. However, it was useless to think about it at this time. Ever since Wei Shi married into the family, he had rarely thought of his first wife. In the first few years, perhaps he wanted to go to the temple to do something for her and bury her in the ancestral grave. This was a long journey. Perhaps he could get some incense when the ancestral house offered sacrifices. Ruan Ruizhong staggered, obviously a little tired. Evil creature, get out and put on your clothes. He rolled and crawled away. Ruan Ruizhong glanced at the closed door, straightened his back, raised his head slightly, and went outside. He could now maintain his dignity in this way. However, the servant who was supporting him knew best that he was trembling slightly. Wei Shi heard all the movements outside. Sure enough, men were all the same. When they made a mistake, they would only push it to the woman. So what if she seduced him? In the beginning, he was someone who had married a wife and had a child. He was not a young boy who was in love for the first time. She hooked her finger and he would come over. Truly clear and honest, knowing etiquette, justice, integrity, and shame. Even a young boy would not hook up with his stepmother. Even if he would not reveal it, he would stay far away. Did he really think that she would casually pick someone to make a move on? A straight body was not afraid of a crooked shadow. The root was rotten. Pretending to be a gentleman, it made people feel disgusted. Wei Shi frowned. So far, she had not seen the main character. Although the biggest suspect was Jin Qin Wang, it was still a suspicion. She did not have any conclusive evidence. She was like a mouse under his cat's paw. He gently fiddled with it and it could make you tumble, but you could not even see his true appearance. This kind of powerlessness was really unprecedented. Ruan Ruizhong felt that someone was looking at him as a joke. How could Wei Shi not have this kind of feeling? 10 or 20 years of hard work was wasted just like that. She was not reconciled. No matter how unwilling she was just a turtle in a jar, a prisoner. Ruan Ruizhong ordered people to lock the courtyard door and pinched the key himself. The people outside were all Wei Shi's personal servants. These people clearly knew what Wei Shi was doing, but they all kept their mouths shut. It could be seen that Wei Shi's imperial methods were very effective. Thinking about it again, the entire Ruan family's inner courtyard was managed by her without a drop of water leaking out. If she wanted to do something to him, just thinking about it made him shudder. However, this kind of matter of adultery with her stepson, she would not dare to let the whole residence know. He ordered his servant to call the eldest daughter-in-law. Looking at the dispirited face of his daughter-in-law, who was punished because of the previous separation of the family. Did she or did they know something that caused such a strong reaction? Flog this group of lowly servants to death. From now on, Ruan family will be under your control. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653231. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com mobile version reading website, Bicken.com. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.